Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome iRacers to Apex Racing TV and our coverage of the VSCA Sports Car Championship, and specifically today the vSPORTS Sports Car Challenge, live here from the world famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but of course the road course, because we're following an IMSA style event here for this VSCA event featuring LMDHs, LMP2 and GTD classes. My name is Lee Thompson, bringing you the action along with Avery McDonald alongside me and Samuli Kumo working with the cameras and overlay in the production booth. And we've got a fun event ahead of us here, Avery. 3-hour endurance race at the the American home of motorsport, if you like.
Oh, this is phenomenal track. I've been here multiple times, over 10 times here, so anytime I get a chance to call a race from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the mecca of racing, it's just a great time to have, especially when you bring an IMSA style event. The race last weekend here was a phenomenal race, a lot of good side-by-side racing, a lot of good opportunities for some overtakes here. So we're just excited to see the LMDH qualifying is about to begin. So the field has already been set for the LMP2s and the GTD cars, Lee. So it's gonna be a phenomenal event.
Yeah, definitely going to be a phenomenal event, I think. And we're coming towards the end of this 2023 Sports Car Championship. So this is round 10 of 11, of which we've seen a couple here on Apex Racing TV over the few months so far. And basically the championship is split across a couple of different formats. So we have endurance events and sprint events, and this is going to be one of the 7 Sprint Cup events here at Indianapolis. And so the championship standings that we can see in front of us right now are going to be the overall teams championship for all 10 rounds so far of the year. And you can see that in the LMDH class, Grizzly Motorsports number 7 are leading the way by just a whisper. You know, it's 40 odd points, but out of 3,500. So almost nothing at all between the top 3, 4, even top sort of 6 cars really. So yeah, Grizzly Motorsport at the moment leading the way, with Mayor SimSpeed Performance in second and CMSRacing.com Pro in third. If we move across to the LMP2 class as well, we'll see that leading the way is Trading Paints Racing Black, with a little bit more of a buffer than we saw in LMDH, but again still pretty close. The guys are looking at in the region of 300 points, I think it is, for a win here. So yeah, still things are very close at the top, with Albrecht Motorsports then in second and Fisher Motorsports Dallara in third. Down in the GTD class, we've got Screeching Moose Motorsports, again leading by a tiny margin, less than 100 points over CMSRacing.com Endurance, and Talk Freak Racing VSCA in third position. But as I mentioned, we have also got a second championship running concurrently, which is just for the Sprint Cup events. So there's 7 of them again in this season, and again here at Indianapolis is one of them. And in the LMDH Sprint Championship, we've got JO Motorsports leading the way with 2,520 points over CMSRacing.com Pro in second again, and Grizzly Motorsport number 7 in third. So yeah, interesting that kind of JO and Grizzly have swapped positions, but CMS Racing is still in the same spot. And then in the LMP2 class, we've got Trading Paint Racing Black still in the lead there as well with 2,499 points. Albrecht Motorsports in second, and then Vision 1 Motorsports number 13 picking up that third spot. And then to finish up in our GTT Sprint Championship, we've got CMSRacing.com Endurance. Ironic that they're leading the sprint. And Screeching Moose Motorsport in second, with a Mad Sim Racing there in third. So really, Avery, for all of those championships, both the endurance, or the overall rather, and the sprint, it's looking super, super close out there. And as I say, there's big points available for each individual race, he says, as he moves to the sheet of paper that he had the points on it. But yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was 300 for a win. So lots of opportunity there for teams to move around still.
Yeah, especially when you're that close in the points, you really aren't going to calculate what position you need to get. You just know you have to do a couple spots better than the person behind you. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's less than 50 points for all 3 of the series coming into the Sprint Championship, as that'll conclude today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So, we'll be keeping a close eye on it, just to, take a look at where these drivers are going to be at throughout the race, to see, those guys that are up on the top of the standings, how are they going to attack it? That's just, something the drivers will have to figure out, and the teams, because, as we said, this is a team session.
And just to confirm, it was 350 points. So yeah, almost on the mark. And then the points run down all the way until you get to 30th, and then every position from 30th onwards looks to get 10 points in this sprint format. So we can see the LMDHs are out on track at the moment, and say, as we mentioned at the start, the LMP2 and GTD have already completed their slots that they have in qualifying. And leading the way in LMP2 currently is Delta Sport 198, with Albrecht Motorsport in second and Hacklamps Racing third. So great job from the 3 of them. It's looking pretty close out there for the top 4 as well. Just a couple of attempts between those top 4. Whilst in GTD, we got Hack Racing leading the way with Firestorm Motorsport 29 in second, and then Kinetic Racing VSCA GT3 in third. And again, we see the same thing, a couple of attempts between the 4 of them out there. So it'll be interesting to see if we get as close a run on the LMDHs as well.
Yeah, it's a super tight times, Lee. The one thing that's important here is there's some straightaways. So you have the big front straight and then the back straight, where you're going to need to use that toe. So it's going to be very important to get a good qualifying time, because if you start to fall back in that pack and you're not going to have the toe, you're not going to be able to catch back up. But such a fun track here, especially as you see some of the tires, just drivers getting ready for the qualifying lap. Turn 1 right here, just like to point out, this is probably where you're going to see most of your passes, because the exit of the corner isn't leading into a long straight. So, and then you have another straight coming up here. Probably one of the more difficult parts of the track, because you have to get a good exit to go through the left and the right and onto this straightaway to be able to get a good run. And the next passing opportunity up here, there's really 3 opportunities to make a pass at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And it's really a tricky circuit for the guys to deal with in terms of car setup as well, right? It's really split into 2. You've got obviously the oval section with the big run of banking leading onto the long straight running down past pit lane, and then the kind of the internal kind of oval sort of side. But still, we can see on the track map there, it's still got a long old back straight there as well. So yeah, it's really kind of splits the track into 2 a little bit with how you're balancing the setup choices for, well, not just for qualifying, of course, but also the race. We can see Grizzly Motorsport 7 here, first LMDH to put in a lap, and I dare say we're going to see those laps rocketing in now from the LMDHs, and we'll see who can get close. Of course, we know that Grizzly Motorsport are at the top of the LMDH Championship from us running through a moment ago.
Yeah, they have a good amount of time to get a good lap in. The one thing to keep in mind, this is the new layout that iRacing put out just recently, and the old layout was a little bit different because where you have that little right-hand corner, which is turn number 12, you'd go straight through the oval turn number 1. So I really like this new layout. It's a very tough layout because, you know, in America here, we have a lot of flat tracks, and it just, you don't have the banking to catch you all the time. So really interesting to see how this pack racing will be, because it will be a pack for a while, Lee. If we take a look at Trevor here, this is probably, I would say, the most important part of the track. You need to get a good entrance into turn 12, and as you go through 13, this is what sets you up for the front straight. If you don't get a good exit here, you're going to start falling back quickly.
Yeah, we're going to see a huge amount of moves, right? Like I say, all set up from that final corner coming onto the pit straight. And it's going to be really interesting to see, you know, the dynamic between the different classes as well, how the LMDHs and the LMP2s cope with the GTDs, how the LMDHs cope with the LMP2s. There's going to be some real differences out there between between those different classes. But you know, in the twisty stuff, there's not necessarily a huge amount between the LMDHs and LMP2s. You know, the LMDH braking zones are pretty long, I believe, and so it could be you know, a little bit of tripping over each other, I dare say, between the LMDHs and LMP2s at times. Yeah, we can see those lap times have been coming in, and so far MV Skin Lab, DS Racing, and now JO Motorsports both have deposed Grizzly Motorsport 7, and in fact the times are just falling still at half a second quicker now for World of Sim Racing Team. So perhaps over the next couple of laps we're going to see those lap times keep improving as the fuel burns off, the tyres get warmed up, and the drivers keep getting their right in. Just 10 minutes remaining in the session.
Yep, trying to hot lap right now. Very important to get a good qualifying time here at Indianapolis. You take a look at this straightaway here. This is actually another good part of the track, Lee. You need to just get that good exit here because it's a very tough track. Because, yeah, it's kind of basic. It's not as basic as one of my favorite tracks, Daytona, but it's easy to make a mistake because, you know, without the banking. But let's see if Alexandria's going to get a good time here. But, yeah, really good, really fast times at this track so far. And, yeah, the gap is kind of big from first to second, but I mean, there's still time to get a quick lap in.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you mentioned Daytona there. I mean, that's where the season started off here for the VSCA Sports Car Championship way back in January, where they had their version of the 24 Hours of Daytona before moving on to Sebring in March, Long Beach in April, Monterey then in May for Laguna Seca, then on to Mosport still in May, Watkins Glen 6 hours in June, Belle Isle then in July, Road America in August, VIR also in August just a few weeks ago. Before then, we arrive here at Indianapolis just with the one round remaining. No other times kind of continue to come in just for the last few seconds, so perhaps the drivers are just setting themselves up again for their next hot lap. But there we go, we can see Delta Racing into 7th just then, so just a little bit of moving around.
Yeah, this VSCA Sports Car Championship does a great job at emulating the IMSA series, because IMSA is growing here in the States. For a while, as an attendee of the Rolex 24, when I first started going, it was kind of slowing up, but now it's on a rise, and so is this VSCA series. Such a well-ran series. It's so cool to see 45 entries and a good amount of all three different classes, because some multi-class recently you have a bunch of prototypes and a small amount of GTD cars, so really well put together series.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, right? Because you're looking at our timing screen we have here as Alexandra there for Sapphire SimSport Echo just has a little issue coming into turn 1. Really interesting. The GTDs are by far the biggest class, right? So we've got 18, 19, 20, 21 entries for GTD. We've got 14 entries for LMP2. and then 8 entries here for LMDH. So yeah, really interesting to have that kind of balance between those 3 classes. And as we see Delta Racing GTP coming through into the infield section as well, just gives us a chance to mention the title sponsor for the VSCA Sports Car Championship, which is a virtual, and also vSPORTS, which is their esports brand for virtual. Yeah, big thanks to them for being the sponsor for the series and for partnering with the VSCA. Also worth checking out their beginner driver education course that you can find at their website, which is virtual.ca, but virtual is spelled with a 7, VR7UAL. That's how we're dealing with virtual.ca, and then you can find the beginner driver education course from there. Yeah, as we're coming into the closing moments, we're seeing a few green sectors out there, Avery. So hopefully we're going to see a couple more improvements pinging in. But still, for the moment, World of Sim Racing team are at the top, just by a couple of attempts over CMSRacing.com Pro. Grizzly Motorsport 7 may be underperforming just a little bit right now in P5, whereas again they're really at the sharp end in the championship. So be interesting to see if they can put in a time, or whether they're going to be working their way up through the field over the next couple of hours.
Yeah, it looks like that Grizzly Motorsports car that was slowing up, maybe trying to get a clean track. You always want to make sure you can have a good clean track, good clean air to get through the corners. And we'll see if he's maybe just trying to get a good run under this front straight and try to get a good flyer lap in, as qualifying is about to run out very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming into those closing moments as we see, Grizzly Motorsport then, like I say, setting up that lap as he fires it into turn 1. I mean, we can see out there as well, just to mention, by the way, that even though iRacing have now added to their kind of GTP/LMDH kind of roster with the Cadillac, the Porsche, and the Acura, we've still just got the BMW LMDHs out there in this series. So yeah, just a single model for both the LMDH and of course the LMP2 with the Delara there as well. So yeah, it'll be an exciting addition for them for next season. I'm sure really opens up the options and kind of the interest in GTP as Delta Racing move up into 5th, and we see just 2.5 tenths between 1st and 5th over this tricky lap. Avery looking competitive out there for Lim DLHs.
Oh yeah, very competitive. Yeah, within 3/10 for the top 5 positions, and then with the Grizzly Motorsports, a half a second back, but I really feel they're going to have a little bit more pace when it comes into the race. It is a 2 hour and 40-minute race, so you have the opportunity to get better throughout the race, make some changes to how you're maybe driving the tracks. So starting 6th isn't gonna be the end all for their day. They just have to have a little more traffic than they're probably used to.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, traffic will quite quickly become an issue, regardless, as they start to get into the rest of the field anyway. After only a handful of laps, I'd imagine. So, yeah, I said it's a long game, this one, and certainly not going to be a panic for them. But yeah, okay, interesting to see the Grizzly Motorsports car down in 6th as Sapphire Sim Sport, was it there, that just moved up into 2nd. So yeah, good job on them, just closing just within 2/10 of the World Sim Racing team.
Yeah, really good lap. It's the Sapphire Sim Sport team kind of struggled a little bit in the beginning of this qualifying session, but able to really put down a really good lap, and heck, they might even go a little faster here.
Yeah, we're going to get a great view of them to see whether that is the case. Closing moments of the session, we see the timer counting down in the top left corner, just under 3 minutes remaining. So yeah, not long for all of the drivers to improve. We see that currently CMS Racing is in pit lane, as is Delta Racing GTP as well down there in 6th. So those, Delta Racing maybe leaving the pit lane as I spoke. But yes, like I say, time ticking away, and this has been looking like a pretty clean lap so far from Sapphire Sim Sport on this attempt. But yeah, like I say, we'll see if he can improve on that 14.89.
as he runs through the yard of bricks. He does. Wow, by .001 lead. That is if you're gonna put on a flyer, right now's the time to do it. What a great lap by the Sapphire Sim Sport team.
As close as you like. Wow, yeah, absolutely amazing. As you say, I'm sure if it stays like this, Alexander's going to be kicking himself slightly. That if there was a 1,000th out there somewhere, and he could have, he would have needed 2,000 since he was setting his lap second. But yeah, like I say, whisper close between the two. So I say, really speaks volumes about what we're going to see with the competitive racing ahead. Hopefully, of course, qualifying and race can be very different beasts. They're going to have a lot of time management, a lot of fuel management, and maybe most importantly, a lot of traffic management out there during the 2 hour 40 minutes. So things could still certainly move around, but yeah, super close between the two of them. And in fact, I'm talking the whole time, Avery. I completely misread it, haven't I? Sapphire, I apologise, took it by 1,000th of a second. I thought they missed out by 1,000th. So no, cracking job by them. They absolutely did find that time out there.
Yeah, it was just a amazing time. It's once you get onto that front straight, you just go to the yard of bricks, you just close your eyes, and then you look up and you go, okay, I got it done. And these guys are. I mean, the pole is important because they have that virtual pole awards. So I mean, at the end of the season, they got a prize for team with the most poles. So in each class, so qualifying is very important. He just put down a blistering lap, really good performance. Let's see if what this Grizzly Motorsports car can do.
Yeah, and this is going to be pretty much his last opportunity to get that in for Trevor Vavorsky there, and coming out onto the back end of the straight, and kind of really deceptive as it looks like they're going to be heading towards the banking and suddenly dive right at the last minute to take that last little chunk of infield before working their way back out again, just building that speed up and out into pit lane. Let's see how it's looking. I think his sectors have been looking not too bad so far, but Grizzly Motorsports doesn't improve that time, and that looks to be the session done and dusted. You can see the checkered flag is out, showing in our session header in the top left-hand corner, and the only other car out on the track is World of Sim Racing team. And they are closing towards the end of their lap. Let's see if they can get the time in. And nothing doing on that time. No change on that one. They were, in fact, quite a way off the pace. So perhaps they were just doing a little bit of prep maybe on that one to finish up. So yeah, that is going to be the qualifying session done and dusted. What a tantalizing start to this race, Avery, with the top two LMDHs just by that 1,000th of a second, as you said. And to be fair, the LMP2 is less than a tenth between P1 and P2, and just over a tenth between P1 and P2 in the GTDs.
Yeah, the times are super tight here with the VSCA. Such a great group of drivers. This super close. This is what their qualifying pace is, but I think their race pace, they're all going to be still very close. Having a unified series like the LMDH, the LMP2, and the GTDs, they're always good close racing. But like you said, it's going to be the biggest time to gain is when the LMDHs first catch up to the GTDs in the race. And I think that'll be around lap 11 or 12 because there's about a 10-second gap. So that's where you're winning or wear it moment. I'm a huge sprint car racing fan, and it's kind of the same thing. So it's always good to see how the drivers are going to handle the lap traffic because that's where you're going to win your races or lose it.
Yeah, like I say, really going to be critical for the guys out there. So yeah, we're just going to be waiting for the session to roll over and for the cars to begin gridding up. Just gives us a chance as well to mention that in today's race we're likely to see full course yellows as well. So there's two opportunities for the VSCA admins to decide to manually throw a full course yellow. Firstly, they're going to be completely randomized during the session, so we don't know how many, when there might be a safety car called, and it wouldn't necessarily be for an instant, and that would just allow everything to close back up. And a couple of rules then for kind of pit lane and stuff, which we can perhaps discuss then if and when we get that safety car, and it's going to really mix things up as close the field back up ready for racing green. And then they do also have the opportunity to choose to put out a safety car if there is a big accident, like a track is blocked or something like that. So that'll be interesting to dig into the details of that with what the rules are when and if it comes up. But for now, we can see that the cars are starting to grid up outside of pit lane on the front straight there, and they're going to be having their full pace lap, of course, before then they get going for the beginning of the round 10 of the VSCA Sports Car Championship. So we can see at the top of the MDHs, just like we were talking about, Alexander Royer for Sapphire Sim Sport Echo did the job at 1 minute 14.703 to beat Danny Pedra for World of Sim Racing team by the closest margins, 1,000th of a second. Cracking job from both teams there. And we've got Michael Parker for CMS Racing Pro.com Pro in third, with Francisco Pereira for MV SkinLab DS Racing in fourth. Then we've got Jonathan Ashelin for JO Motorsports and Washington Pereira Cavallo for Delta Racing GTP in fifth and sixth. And then bringing up the final row of the LMDHs is Trevor Vovorsky and Jason Byron in 7th and 8th for Grizzly Motorsports and Maya Sim Speed respectively. Then on to the LMP2 class, we can see Harry Lawrence did take that pole for Delta Sport 198 with Mike Stanek in second for Albrecht Motorsports. Then in third we've got Hack Lumps Racing with GSE Esports Racing alongside in fourth, Goin Racing in fifth with Sapphire Sim Sport Delta in sixth, Digital Spirit DS Racing in seventh with Trading Paints Racing Black in eighth. So that's another little surpriser actually as well, Avery, right, for LMP2. Trading Paints Racing Black were top of the championship that we were looking at earlier on, so they've got some work to do as well, just the same as Grizzly Motorsports do in LMDH. Then we've got Digital Spirit Racing in 8th with Vision 1 Motorsports in 9th, Fisher Motorsport in 10th with VRO Sport in 11th, Vise Motorsport in 12th with Yellow Submarine Scott taking up the last spot in LMP2 in 13th. Then we have in the GTDs Hack Racing in taking that pole position with a 125.159 with Firestorm Motorsport 29 in second, Kinetic Racing VSCA GT3 in third with Fisher Motorsport Porsche then in fourth, Torque Freak Racing in fifth with CMS Racing.com Endurance in sixth, Screeching Moose Motorsport in seventh with Delta Racing GTD in eighth, Paulsen Racing in ninth with World of Sim Racing team in 10th, Mad Sim Racing and then Dangler Performance on the next row in 11th and 12th. Then in 13th we've got Grizzly Motorsports 9 alongside Fisher Motorsport Eagle. We then have Off in the S's Racing in 15th with Money House Racing Black in 16th, Vice Motorsport in 17th with Nerd Herd Racing in 18th. 19th position is Trading Paints Racing Red with Trading Paints Racing Blue in 20th, and taking up the very last spot is a Real Pixel Motorsport in that 21st position. So like I say, a big field of GTDs that we've got out there, which is good to see. And like I say, the guys on their formation lap, Avery, not long to go until the LMDHs will be leading off first, a little bit of a gap, then back to the LMP2s, a little bit of a gap again, and then the GTDs will be away.
Yeah, I think the thing to look for today, Lee, Grizzly Motorsports 7 starting 7th, and then the Trading Paints Black in the LMP2 class, they're starting towards the back of the field. There's a championship on the line for the Sprint Series, so they're going to have to make some moves and try to finish within a couple spots. So we'll see what happens here. Should be a great show at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, certainly going to be for sure, as you say. I'm just reminding myself quickly for GTD as well. And unless I'm just blind, which is entirely possible, I don't see Champion Motorsports, who are listed at the top of the GTD Sprint Championship, in the field at all. So yeah, drama there and opportunities for lots of movement. Right, LMDH is then about to get going for the virtual sports car challenge here at Indianapolis, and Sapphire Sim Sport lead the way as those 8 cars thunder the way down into turn 1. We can see the LMP2s in the background getting ready to take the start as well, looking pretty clean there for Sapphire Sim Sport. Just a little bit busier behind for MV SkinLab and Delta Racing, but all pretty clean it looks like, and they all stream out of turn 2 and 3 single file. Good clean start. LMP2's already into turn 1, Avery, and second and third side by side there. GSE Motorsports and Albrecht Motorsports. Good job getting through, and a little bit of side by side action further back as well. But again, looking like first 2 classes through very, very cleanly indeed.
Yeah, really good clean start. Uh, there's a lot of give and take, especially on the start of the race. I mean, this is where you can get most of your positions gained, and to see Meyer makes a good trying to defend there. But this is where you can make up your spots, but this is also where you can wreck your race. So it's good to see how the drivers take control of the patience and the aggression factor.
Oh, a little bit of aggression there in the midfield as well. Full Send Racing about to lose another spot, it looks like, as they got a little bit scruffy through the chicane. And if they're not careful, they might get another dive from behind coming up as well. But they're just about going to survive as they head into the deep braking zone. And yeah, great battle. Already just outside of the top 10 there for the GTDs.
Yeah, great racing all the way through. Really good start. No, pretty much no incidents on lap number 1. We are on lap number 2 for the LMDHs. And they have a pretty good pack here, but this GTD class, it is full, and it's straight line speed. And there's that Mark Johnson, that CMSRacing.com car, sitting in a good spot in 6th, and just trying to learn where he's better than where some of the other drivers. Oh, we have contact here with the LMP2 class. It looks like Tucker.
And Trading Paints Racing Black, so drama, right? So that's the lead car in the LMP2 Championship with big damage at the start. Let's take a look and see what happened as they head into turn 1 here. Looking very clear at the minute, so I'm a bit worried as about to what they're going to come across. And oh, it was self-inflicted, so just lost the rear kind of mid to exit. And I'm really unfortunate there to collect 2 further LMP2s as well. But yeah, just lost the rear as we headed in, and yeah, really unfortunate there.
Yeah, unfortunate for Tyler, but the race is still early. If the car is salvageable, you just try to do the best you can with the car you have at the moment. So unfortunate for him, but you know, that's racing.
But otherwise, so again, still looking very clean through the rest of the field. That's really the only significant incident that we've seen so far. LMDH is already, part way through lap 2, and what a sim racing team are certainly looking like going to keep Sapphire Sim Sport Echo honest, which is no surprise considering how close they were in qualifying, and already they're just going to be catching the first straggler in GTD. Here come those couple of damaged LMP2s. So yeah, as well as Trading Paints Black, is also Vice Motorsport Black as well. That comes into pit lane to take repairs. Yeah, there goes our first GTD with big damage on the front. So we can see why he's off the back of the rest of the field. And yeah, that track map for now is looking as clean as it's going to look the whole race, Avery, with the 3 classes nicely cemented. That's not going to last long.
Yeah, once the lap traffic comes, that's when they're going to stay there the whole race. That's a great thing with the track map, as you see the cars with the black circle. That's your LMDHs, blue is the LMP2, and green is the GTD class. And those LMPDHs are catching up fast. But this LMP2 battle is really good for the 2nd place.
Yeah, things certainly looking like they're going to stay competitive there as well. We can see there's a little bit of a split in the LMP2s, presumably because of that incident that we saw with Trading Paints Black. So yeah, first kind of 9 cars separated out, and then 10th and 11th limping along just behind. But yeah, Fabian Blitz here in 3rd. Super tight battle as yeah, the 3 of them come through turn 1. But already, Avery, P1, Delta Motorsport 198 is just disappearing. 5 seconds almost down the road. And yeah, we're at the start of lap 4.
Yeah, 5 seconds down the road, and when you know you got it, you just got to keep pushing the car and maintain that gap while you have that clean air. Because like we said, once we get into lap traffic, as here comes the leaders of the LMDHs, as they're going to start catching up to the GTDs. Once you get in the traffic, that's where you can lose your time. So 5-second lead for the LMP2, and it's just under a second for the LMDHs, and here they go. Let's see what they're going to make a move. Like you said, they're going to their braking points are completely different. So here comes the first send.
and couldn't have timed any better for the leader there to clear the very first GTD before he got into turn 1, and we can see in the mirror there that only now is the second position, and what a sim racing team able to make the same move. So that's going to keep ebbing and flowing. Of course, again, this is just the first overtake, but it's a good example straight away how, you know, traffic is going to make a big impact in everyone's races, and they need to try and be patient, because again, what kind of goes around comes around, and just because you got held up for a couple of moments doesn't mean that yeah, your competitor, your rival, isn't going to get the same as well. And MV Skin Lab into the wall. I saw that they already lost a position a moment ago, so I wonder if that's the same event just continuing, or whether was going to be the other LMP2 car that we saw in replay a second ago, of course, because there was another LMP2 car as well. So yeah, really unfortunate. He's only a couple of seconds back, so he's not, you know, out of it. He's in that that mess somewhere there in the background. But yeah, all of a sudden, 5-second lead just disappeared.
Yep, that's what happens. That the gap can vanish just like that with either a mistake or caught up in someone else's trouble. But still relatively clean throughout passing the field. We had a couple incidents, but you know that'll happen early in the race. Drivers will start to settle in. It's always tough when you're multi-class racing lead, because when you're in the faster car, you're like, oh, I need to get around him, and when you're a slower car, well, I want it to be at the right circumstance. But when you see multi-class racing done properly, it is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I say, it's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic in play here in the vSPORTS Sports Car Challenge here in the VSCA Sports Car Championship. And yeah, we're just seeing super close battles at the front between all three classes. Look at the timing tower there. So P1 and P2 in LMDH, half a second. P1 and P2 in LMP2, just a whisper over half a second. And P1 and P2 GTD, less than half a second. So it's going to be super competitive all the way through this 2-hour, 40-minute race.
Yeah, really, yeah, like I said, very competitive. And then it's also, when you get through these traffic, I mean, look, that's a half a second gap or so, and it's down to 5 to 3rd. This battle in this LMP2 division is, I mean, nose to tail all the way through the field. You have to be careful coming into the corner. We'll see if he's going to try to outbrake him here. Alfonso able to outbrake, look to be Thomas there. So really good passing opportunity there. And yeah, it's always tough when you're really close to the next car, because you don't want to run him over.
Yeah, for sure. Just getting themselves a little bit tangled, and going to lose another spot now to Fisher Motorsport, leaning up against the car door of Digital Spirit DS Racing there, but gets the move done before they come into that tricky right-hander at the back of the circuit. We got a couple of incidents being reviewed for the start of the race, so no penalties or anything happening at the minute, but yeah, a couple of race start violations, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens to those, both for the number 51 and the number 39. So let's have a quick look. Oh, that's the lead to LMDHs, right? 51 and 39. Yep. So yeah, that could be pretty critical to see what comes of that.
Yeah, that's it could be a big call if those both have penalties, and the lead would go down to the JO Motorsports number 3. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see when we get the update from the race control. Really great they're providing this
Oh,
for us. Oh, contact with Richard Frank, and around he
yeah.
goes.
That was an optimistic send going in. Again, yeah, this isn't this isn't a 20-minute sprint race. It's a 2-hour 40-minute. Yeah, I mean they're calling it sprint format, right? But we'll call it endurance for this purpose. And yeah, it was very, very optimistic going in there. So yeah, unfortunate for the innocent party involved there. But yeah, kind of fortunately, maybe it seemed Richard took the worst of it that time. Anyway, as we move back through the LMP2's battle for the final position in the top 5 between Fisher Motorsport and Digital Spirit DS Racing, trying to recover that spot they lost just a lap or two ago, and they've got a sea of GTDs coming in front of them.
Speaking of another incident report, oh, contact with Harry Lawrence. He gets put into the grass.
So
not good.
Harry is having an eventful start, right? Disappeared at the start, left everyone for dust, had an instant that we're not quite sure of to drop him back to sort of 5th or 6th place, worked his way very quickly through back into 2nd, and then straight away has another spin and back down to 7th again. So it feels like Delta Sport want to give themselves a bit of a challenge in this race, it looks like. And yeah, let's see if they can maybe just be a little bit more patient with the racecraft. They've obviously got the pace out there. Again, it's a long race. They need to focus on just gently chipping away and allowing the race to come to them a little bit.
Speaking of 5-second gap, that Albrecht Motorsports is a 5-second gap to 3rd. So it's starting to pull away. You got some clean air, but like we've seen before earlier in this race, oh, no, more contact with Kyle Allen in that Vision 1 Motorsports car and a GTD car with Stephen Hassett in the number 91. So we've had a lot of contact so far in the beginning of the race, and there's Tomas around again.
Oh, and the GTD, another prototype car, just barely squeezing by on the inside there. So unfortunate. So yeah, a couple of little silly incidents as again everyone's settling into the traffic and the management of the race. But fortunately, yeah, it looks like Tomas is able to get going without too much or any damage, hopefully. But yeah, working the way through.
But yeah, able to still go on the track here. We take a look for that lead in the GTD class. You can fit them all under a blanket. And here's a good opportunity to make an overtake. Will we see one? Not quite. Still early in the race. I mean, you start racing too hard, incidents can happen. So you put the 3 under a blanket, they can pull away from the drivers in 4th because they're not too far behind them. So this GTD class is very close all the way throughout the top 10.
Yeah, and like I say, and especially through this top 3, all 3 of them within a second as they again work their way towards the back end of the circuit as they briefly head on to the oval before diving straight back into the infield again. And good to see a little bit of a mixture of cars at the front, kind of Lambo at the top, a couple of Porsches, another Lambo Porsche, and then we got the BMW Mercedes all just within 3 seconds of the lead still. So yeah, good to see that range of cars. We have got a lone Ferrari, but unfortunately near at the back, and yeah, and then that's all the brands represented there in GTD.
Yeah, here comes a good maybe a send here by Sean Hatfield, but he's got that prototype behind him. It's like, man, I want to get by, but just waiting. That's the leader of the LMP2, the Albrecht Motorsport, number 96. Here we go, good pass here. He's so cautious here because when you make a send like that, those GTD cars aren't going to like that. Now look how close they are. You could fit the top 6 under a little bit larger blanket.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely frantic as they continue on. And again, the LMP2 trying to make their way through. A little bit of a move here as well for 3rd, 4th spot. Oh, Neil Middleton there for Talk Freak Racing, almost getting the move done, but just has to back out after the slightest of touches with Kinetic there. And all opportunistic move for Fisher Motorsport there. The LMP2 car goes through, and Fisher Motorsport, Manuel Meyer says, I'll have a bit of that as well, and completely catches out Talk Freak Racing there. And yeah, that's just how quickly it can change, Avery, right? You're looking to make a move, a corner later, move is made on you.
Yeah. You make sure you keep the eyes open, no blinking. Oh, round goes.
That was unfortunate. Just a little bit of a accordion effect there as the first GTG just kind of slowed a little bit more than expected, and the next sort of 3-4 cars just didn't unfortunately have time to react, and I think big damage for one of the cars there as a sort of a bonnet crumple as well. So fortunately they're close to pit lane if they need to, but yeah, just an unfortunate little accordion event.
Yeah, that can happen here, especially here at Indy. You know, a lot of these corners are real tight, very narrow. You just never know when you can make a send. Take a look at that Mark Johnson and that 78 CMS racing car. Went on a really good run up into the 6th spot, so sitting real well.
Yeah, and that little event just kind of broke up that that group just a touch more. So yeah, a few more seconds now separating the top 6 or so. But again, lots of opportunity still to go. CMSRacing.com looking now to be the ones to pressure Torque Freak Racing. So yeah, so if they're not careful, yeah, Middleton there for Torque Freak might be losing another spot as they're just losing touch a little bit with the top 4 ahead of them.
Yeah, sitting pretty good here. Take a look at
Another little spin.
Another spin around.
Yeah, Stu Leslie for Off in the S's Racing, living up to their name, it looks like, as they came through the chicane there, but able to get back underway. And again, looking like pretty clear of damage. That's good to see. But we can see in the track map at a minute, pretty much the whole field is kind of pretty much in one segment of the track. And look at that view down the start-finish line. That's where half the grid are at the minute. And yeah, LMDH is trying to get past LMP2s, who are trying to get past GT3s. And this is where things can start to get a little bit dicey. But LMDH leading the LMDH VAT matter through cleanly on that occasion. And LMP2s just about push their way past those GTDs as well.
Yeah, you just got to give each other just a little bit more room than what you think, especially going through this portion of the racetrack. And those LMDHs are, man, they're just flying. They're just like an airplane on wheels. I mean, look at these cars just go through the traffic here, catching up to the GTD cars and just putting on a really good show so far. And the gap is, less than 0.3 of a second or so between first and second lead. And they're stuck behind the GTD cars. Look how that really hurts them. But every class is racing each other. Racing their own class. So you have to be mindful of that these cars are also racing for position.
Yeah, like I say, everybody needs to focus on their own race, right? You can't the whole time be driving as an after you to a class above. And so yeah, really, it's always going to be the responsibility of that passing class to try to understand again that everyone's in their own race and to make safe progress. But super tight at the top of LMDH. Still, that is the leader of LMDH right in front of us there, as both cars tuck in before the GTDs and just have to be patient until they come through turn 1, 2, 3, and then get the drive off. And Danny there just having a little think about the move, and I thought we were going to have contact between the front right and the left rear between P1 and P2 there, but Danny just managing to get it slowed down close enough, and yes, getting frantic through the GTD traffic.
Yeah, that was here comes a big send for lead.
Yeah, Danny there gets the move done. It looks like, have we still got Sapphire on our right hand side? Now he appears in the review mirror, and so yeah, great move by Danny there, opportunistic with the GTD traffic. We could see he was keen to try and get a move done early on. And let's see now if he can pull the pin whilst he's got a little bit of clear track for a moment, and yeah, get away from Sapphire. But yeah, great job for Danny Pedra and World of Sim Racing team.
Yeah, really good pass. And that was a much better passing opportunity there than what we're seeing just a few moments ago going into turn number 4. I thought we were going to see a race control incident there, but he made better move and made the pass in turn 7.
Yeah, and so just to update viewers on, we were concerned that for car number 51 and 39, they might have an issue with a start race or a start line infraction. Initially, race control, it seems, have viewed no further action for car 51 at least, but it's been immediately appealed. So we shall see if there's still a little bit more drama to go. We've got maybe half a dozen or so incidents waiting to be reviewed and looked at. So we'll try and keep you all informed as to the progress on that. But yeah, that's certainly the one I want to keep an eye on is what happening between those two. And right as I say that, car 39 has been given a drive-through penalty. So again, let's wait and see if there's an appeal and whether that continues on a little bit. But for now, 51 has been found clear and safe. Number 39, who we're watching on screen now, has been given a drive-through penalty for a race start violation.
Yeah, that is the position. It's a very tough spot to be in, as in race control, but someone's got to do it to make sure the races are done fair. And so that's unfortunate for the 39 for the drive-through penalty, and the 79
Yeah,
looks like they're gonna have a
79 now.
drive-through penalty.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Lee, it's still early. You can still make up from it. You gotta really put on a lot of pace.
Absolutely, like I say, drive-through penalty is not going to be the end of the race for this type of event, but it's not going to be what the guys wanted to see. And of course, also we have that whole full course yellow that may come into effect at some point and change things around a little bit. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, drama there as like I say, a couple of drive-through penalties to start us off.
Yeah, speaking of drama, here comes the LMP2s. They're going to start catching up to the GTD class, so that's going to be really good. And then not too far behind the leader of the LMP2 class, you'll have the LMDHs catching up to the LMP2s. So lap traffic is coming for multiple classes here, so we'll have to just see what they're going to do. Drive-through penalty for the 99 as well for the LMDH for the race start violation.
Wow.
Here he comes.
Yeah, so from third position for J Motorsports, and we can see that the number 39 is in as well. They go directly ahead, Sapphire Sim Sport Echo. So yeah, both choosing to serve their penalties almost immediately. And that's going to drop them right to the back of the LMDH field, I think, is a hot battle for the lead now in GTD. So yeah, top three still super close, all within a second. And then Fisher Motorsport in fourth, just trying to bridge that gap and get back to that lead group. Let's see if Firestorm Motorsport here are shaping up to make a move on Hack Racing this time by closing to within a tenth as the LMP2 makes the move as well. And
Yeah, you
nothing
can
doing
see
again this time. Yeah, pretty patient
yeah.
at the minute, aren't they? I think, Avery.
Right, yeah, you can see it right there. The patience was, there, and they know the LMP2's got a little bit different braking going into turn number one, so I think they were aware of that. And that was a really good pass and good driving by all those parties. But the GTD class, 0.6 of a second from first to third, and just a couple laps ago, Lee, you could put the top 8 cars under a blanket. So that's what the lap traffic can do when the the LMDHs are starting to catch up to you. You can lose some pace. So that's why it's super important to hopefully you get lapped at the right time and not fall back. So still a really good battle here. Into anyone scheme. Oh, leader goes off pace. Side by side.
Oh, and he did well to recover the spot straight away. And now it's Kinetic that's going to be under pressure from Firestorm. And Firestorm under pressure from Kinetic. And yeah, Kinetic makes the move.
Yeah, it's a really good move, but here's the thing, Lee. Almost 24 minutes in the race. You don't want to show your hand too quick. But yeah, really good. Oh, now they're going to play the little draft thing. We're going to have side by side as we go into turn number one. The Hack Racing cars are doing a good defense. We'll see if it can hold.
Yeah, Kinetic are keen to make progress, right? So straight through from third into first in the space of half a lap. Let's see now. Yeah, they obviously feel like they've got a little bit of pace over the other cars. So let's see now if they can break away and try and leave Hack Racing and Firestorm to have their own little battle. You see the LMDHs immediately behind those GTD. They're having a battle, splitting all first 2 cars at least going either side. And fortunately getting through cleanly this time by as Firestorm come to have looked to have a move on Hack Racing. It was a little bit late, I felt like initially, but they're holding on in there. It looked pretty clean, and now they're going to have the high ground. Oh, not quite. I thought they got enough of an overlap, but no. Hack Racing comes straight back at them, just about managed to keep their front quarter in. And look at Fisher Racing, for that squabbling. Fisher Motorsports, sorry, they're straight back in that battle as well, and they were a couple of seconds behind a moment ago. And now they make the move of Firestorm. So yeah, a little bit of squabbling completely changes things around immediately.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're making these uh, attempts. Like, look, I could race this guy side by side for 3 or 4 turns, but look how far away the kinetic racing car
Yeah,
is.
2 seconds gone.
So you just got to be mindful, and I mean, how you want to run your race. I mean, but Aiden Campbell, he's looking in his mirror with a big smile, so he's just hoping he can maintain that gap.
Yeah, no, that's a it was a perfect opportunity, right? Like I say, he obviously felt like he had the pace, made those couple of moves in space of half a lap, started to push on, and right at that moment, cars behind started squabbling, make most of it straight away. So let's see how that yeah, develops over the next couple of laps, whether Kinetic Racing can continue just to build that pace a little bit. But yeah, super close still, of course, for the rest of those GTDs, just as it is still for the LMP2 lead as well. So Albrecht Motorsports and GSE Esports Racing still within 3-4 tenths of each other at the front there in LMP2. So that's going to continue on for some time, I think, as well.
Yeah, we'll see if this 111 is going to dive into pit road, because they've been assessed a drive-through penalty for the race start violation. So we'll see if they're going to come through this time by.
Yeah, and that's that's P2 in GTD, and so yes, that is Hack Racing. So yeah, all of these race start violations, really unfortunate, and it's obviously affecting all the lead cars in each class, and that's yeah, really going to be impacting their races. Perhaps we'll try and find out what these infractions are, but yeah, we'll just know it's from the race starts.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, but I think if you're in the GTD class, it's going to hurt you a lot more than if you're in the LMDH, just because there's way more drivers. But there's still an opportunity to try and catch back up. And the one thing that was on their side though, Lee, is they had pace. So that's always one thing to keep in mind. There's the leader of the point standings in the LMDH Grizzly Motorsports car, to take a look back and see what happened here.
Yeah, heading up onto the banking before braking and turning back into the infield, and just overcooked things. He couldn't reach that apex as going on, and then made quite a sensible choice, I think, to bail out of that before clattering over the grass, using the alternative layout, and yeah, back up to speed again. So no real harm done. But yeah, like I say, Grizzly Motorsport 7 so far, worked their way up into 4th thanks to those couple of drive-throughs. But they're nearly 20 seconds off the lead at the minute, so you're not the start to the race that they were looking for, I'm sure.
Yeah, just not the start, but they're sitting in 4th. They're doing very well. I think the one thing that was really important for them is they got a clean start. So they didn't have the drive-through penalty. Speaking of drive-through penalty, the 198 and the LP2's drive-through penalties. So a lot of violations on the race starts.
Yeah, so yeah, things go from bad to worse for Harry Lawrence. He's had those 2 incidents already that's taken him back down the field, and now a drive-through penalty incoming. And it doesn't look like, by the way, he's made the same progress that he did first time around. After his second incident, he's not rocketed straight back up. He's 14 seconds down on the lead now. So I wonder if he's limping with a little bit of damage, or maybe his team have made it clear to him that let's knock the pace down a bit and keep the car pointing forward. Perhaps we'll find out later on which one it is. But yeah, things going from bad to worse for Dodge Sport 198 there.
Yeah, I mean, like the great Dick Trickle once said, to finish first, you must first finish. So keep that in mind. Maybe they're telling their driver something like that. But here comes Rico, able to a little bit of contact, spins around. He got really hard into that corner and kind of clipped the curb.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. It looked like he kind of got away with it at first glance. Thought he kind of gathered it all back up, and then really just steps out, and big net code there. It looked like, at least on my view, between the LMP2 there and the unfortunate GTD of Full Send Racing. So fortunately manages to get back going. I dare say there shouldn't really be any damage on that car, but yeah, just a little bit clumsy between the two. But yeah, a bit of net code involved as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, you just got when you spin like that, like when I make the mistake or something, when I start to spin, I always got to take a couple of deep breaths and remember, it's okay. The race will go on. I don't need to try and hit somebody else. So we'll see what happens here. But the one thing I want to point out, Lee, there's Alexandra, who was the leader before the penalty. the gaps have grown between first and second in all three divisions. Take a look at a replay here.
And we're going to get tangled with that GTD, dives to the inside, makes a move, but just has the rear step out all on his own. GTD fortunately manages to get through without damage, but yeah, we could see that rear just complaining fairly early on from sort of the apex there. And yeah, fortunately no damage, able to get back going again, but again, yeah, after such a promising start, just having a tough few laps now.
Yeah, a lot of tough laps for some drivers, but like we said, 2 hour, 40-minute race. The first half hour is down. We still have plenty of time to go. Take a look at those LMP2s just trying to weave their way through the GTD cars. So they have to have some patience, and we've seen that run a little bit. So really impressive job here by Rico. Had a couple bad laps, but able to maintain some pace. GTD cars behind him going off the track, but still pretty good. There's that Trevor Vorovsky, the Grizzly Motorsports car. Like we said earlier, Lee, was leading the point standings going into the championship here for the Sprint Series. We'll see what he does. This is a cluster of cars here down the freeway.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting very, very busy into turn 1. Prototype cars making their way through on the BMW GTD there. And yeah, great job by the guys getting into this rhythm of figuring out the timing of the different classes, where the braking point's going to be, where can they turn in, where can they make the move, when do they need to be patient, and yeah, all continuing on their journey. Fisher Motorsport Dallara here in P5 in the LMP2 class, just dropping off a little bit from the lead group. We can see they're sort of 15 seconds down or so, but yeah, making their way through that traffic nonetheless. Just as Screeching Moose Motorsports are battling hard with CMSRacing.com Endurance immediately behind, and right as I say that, Prototype splits the two of them to give them just a little bit of breathing space for a bit.
Yeah, just crazy how much faster the LMDHs are over the GTD cars. Just the closing speed is insane. Like, there's a reason why I don't drive LMDHs lead, just because it's just too fast for me. But a lot of these drivers are handling the car very well. Pass for a second here going into before the oval in turn 1, but really good battle here for the LMP2 division. A little loose there too.
Yeah, all three of the cars battling super hard, and say did well to gather it up, then did go in racing. But yeah, Yellow Submarine Squad and GSC side by side as they come into the chicane, but yeah, Submarine holds on to that position and continues on their way.
Yeah, but you know who was smiling there, Lee? That's that Albrecht Motorsports car in the lead of the LMP2. When they see or hear from their teammates that the guys behind you are battling too wide, that's a big grin on his face. So really good run by that Albrecht Motorsports team.
And we can see kind of coincidentally right now is another move between Yellow Submarine Squad and Geo when racing that all three classes, the leader has got a 6-second gap over second place. So yeah, we saw those gaps in the temps for the first section of the race, first sort of 15-20 laps or so. And now, yeah, each of the leaders through different reasons, some pace, some drove through penalties for other cars, yeah, have all got a little bit of breathing space now of 6 seconds or so.
Yeah, so all the starts of the race, those violations have been handled. So
and I have an answer now for what the issue was. So for all these cars that started in the right-hand lane failed to maintain 1.5 car widths of space to the left side of a track. That is the requirement until they get to the start of turn 1. So yeah, that was a problem, and not keeping enough gap to the side of a track as per the regulation for the start line. So like I say, a number of cars get caught out with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 cars all got drive-through penalties of that, and the number 51. That seems to be a final decision now for no further actions after the appeal attempt. So hopefully that'll be the end of those reviews, and yeah, the guys can continue on with their races now unabated.
Yep, it's always tough, but you know, like we said, rules are rules, and you got to make sure you follow them. So unfortunate for those drivers that made the drive-through penalty, but fortunate for the ones who did the start properly. So yeah, really good Good battle here. This LMP2 class is just, they're putting on a show lead. They've been battling side by side, trying to make some good overtakes. But the one thing I want to point out is that just above them is that yellow submarine car. He's pulled out a little bit of a gap. It's about 1 second or so from second to third. So we'll see if he's going to be able to try to catch up to that Albrecht Motorsports car.
Yeah, I mean, he's already made a good attempt. We said a second ago that there was 6 second gap between the lead classes, and yeah, he's already closed that to under 5 seconds. So we'll see if he can continue that sort of pace and start reeling Albrecht Motorsports in or not. Last time by, they were sort of 3/10 quicker or so, and yeah, I dare say it's going to be a decent chunk more if this lap continues as it is.
Yep, it's just a little bit of a difference in lap if you're defending or attacking, or if you're just by yourself, and if you're on that Sunday cruise. So, but the gap is definitely shrinking from first to second. Oh, Albrecht Motorsports car is down to 2 seconds. I wonder if he's coming into pit road or something.
Yeah, or maybe just getting caught with traffic, perhaps. Yeah, if he's not at pit lane on circuit, but yeah, there he is now. Like I say, all of a sudden lost all of the advantage that he had, and yeah, yellow submarine just 1.6 seconds down, and she's spotted. So we'll we're going to continue to see this this great battle in LMP2 at the front of the field, and yeah, can Albrecht Motorsports start to get back into a rhythm again and start building that pace back up? Yeah, they lost over 3 seconds that time by.
Yeah, just a portion of events, man. You never know what's going to happen. You take a look at, you have that 6 second lead. We did have an incident turned in when those GT or the LMDH cars, collided in the beginning of the race. No further action was deemed. So that was when they had those three cars that wrecked on that back straight. So nothing was assigned to those drivers.
Yeah, so yeah, the number 88 and the number 12, that was indeed.
If you're the 12, you're just going, well, thank goodness, because I'm in second place. You don't want to get a time penalty or a drive-through. So they're probably very thankful for that. But, like I said with that Grizzly Motorsports car earlier, Lee, I said, yeah, they're kind of starting towards the back, but they just need to try to run a clean race. And that's what they've done so far. Sitting in fourth place, they're in a really good spot to try to lock up this sprint series portion of the championship.
Yeah, like I say, certainly are. They just need to stay consistent now in that spot. And yeah, this battle for LMP2 look is heating up. So Albrecht's lost another second just in the moments that we've been away. And yeah, Yellow Submarine squad now absolutely looking like they're ready to make that next move. Good line through the chicane and getting a run as they come now down through the back straight into the next braking zone. But not quite close enough for a move, I was going to say, but a very late change of direction, a little bit of a lock-up on the inside as well. And Albrecht Motorsport, I'm not sure there's actual contact there, but more sensible driving maybe from Albrecht. Or they saw and felt Yellow Submarine squad coming in way too hot and a little bit out of control, and maybe steered completely out, ending up on the grass. So fortunately, both cars able to continue on with their race as they were, but it can't be so fortunate for Firestorm Motorsport 29, who were running in the top three earlier on, Avery, right? So they've just had an issue dropping down the order now, going to end up down in 10th or 11th place by the time they get up to speed. So yeah, unfortunate for them, and here's what happened. So down into turn one, or GTD on the inside. I feel like we're going to get a bit clumsy between the two, and we do. Really unfortunate for Firestorm there. Just a bit of a miscommunication, I think, and you can see Jeff Gross there for Trading Paints Racing Blue. I think he was trying to get out of the way, and yeah, a bit of a misjudgment. So hopefully no real harm done for Firestorm, and they can get back up to speed again and try and challenge at the front. And we see Talk Freak Racing dropping down the order now as well. So in the space of half a lap, the cars who were running sort of top three in GTD, both having incidents, both dropping down to 9th and 10th respectively. And let's see what happens to Talk Freak. I dare say it's going to be that prototype behind him. Or it's the same GTD again. Oh no, okay, it's almost the same GTD again. That was the same Lambo. But yeah, maybe related. Neil trying to maybe back out of it a little bit mid corner, rear steps out, but yeah, nothing else too untoward there. Fortunately, can get back on undamaged. And yeah, Alfonso straight back onto the back of Albrecht after that first failed attempt. Again, hopefully, maybe he's learned from that first one of just making sure he's got a real solid overtake attempt on before he really try and make some move this time.
Yeah, the unfortunate circumstances with the Albrecht Motorsports car. Yeah, they were getting past, but he's like, I either go through the grass or I get hit. So very good defensive driving by him.
Yeah, and just looking a lot more confident under braking there, certainly into turn one that time for the Yellow Submarine squad. And I dare say all this GTD traffic coming up, he's going to be doing his best to take advantage and get the run on Albrecht Motorsport just in front. Here's a great view from in the cockpit, and we can see the 4 or 5 GTDs that are going to be coming up over the next couple of corners. And for now, Albrecht Motorsports looks like he should be able to survive, can get one more spot on the GTD. Submarine squad makes the dive as well. GTD just about gives him the space on the outside, and yeah, both through cleanly for now, as was the GTD behind us.
Yeah, getting through there pretty cleanly. That gap for first and second, this LMP2 class is within a half a second. If these drivers start racing pretty hard, big send by that Yellow Submarine. The drivers in third to go in Motorsports and the GSC esports team can start catching up. So yeah, you just got to find when you're going to go. The other thing I want to point out, Lee, these drivers have been on the track for 40 minutes, so the tires are starting to wear down a little bit. So you don't want to burn your stuff off. So maybe that's what happened with that Albrecht team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, could be either their tires are already cooked, or they've suddenly gone into kind of management mode maybe. But yeah, big step out of the rear for Alfonso there as he came off the brakes and tried to turn into turn one, but covered it back up. Yeah, the tyre, the fuel strategy is going to be really interesting to see how that plays out for each of the classes as we go through this race. At the minute, we haven't had any planned pit stops that we know. And Alfonso, the rear again, Avery, he looks to be pushing very, very hard, and doesn't look like he's the one managing his tyres at the minute.
No, yeah, he's burning them up, and
again,
he's doing what he can. Man, he's just wheeling and dealing that car, and I drive the LMP2 a little bit, but nowhere near as fast as these drivers are. But behind them, we had to overtake the third, so good battling all the way through in this LMP2 class.
Yeah, and all 3 LMP2s with the LMP8 just behind, practically side by side there as they come down through that section. And as we go away, Yellow Submarine squad side by side with Albrecht, because Albrecht has come into the pits. So there you go. So maybe exactly as you were hypothesizing, Avery, yeah, they've decided their tyres are done, and just before the 45-minute mark, they've come in, as have Delta Sport 198. I am really surprised at how close Delta Sport 198 are to Albrecht there, Avery. Yeah, they were a good chunk down the order. It shows maybe that squabbling between the lead two have really allowed the rest of the LMP2s to close up a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, and keep in mind as they come through the pits, I don't think we're going to see any driver changes quite yet. I'm pretty, like, the rules are for this series, you have to have a 45-minute minimum drive. So I don't think we'll see a driver change quite yet. But like you said, though, Harry Lawrence in that 198 putting on a really good show. And there's that Yellow Submarine just locking up the tires every chance he can get.
Yeah, I mean, this is a time now that he needs to try and work on being clean and just making that time up whilst he's not squabbling with Albrecht. But let's see if they make the dive into the pits this time by as well. But yeah, as I said, looking a little bit scruffy as we make that move on the GTD. That would have been the Fisher Motorsport car, I think, who we were watching before. Albrecht Motorsport, there we go. They do go into the pits, but Yellow Submarine squad almost putting it in the wall, I would say, as they come into pit lane. They're just about gather it up, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Have they got exactly the same pit strategy on this first pit stop as Albrecht, and where are they going to come out in relation? At the minute, Albrecht Motorsport in P5 are just starting to come around the back of the circuit now, and yeah, not long to find out where they line up.
Yeah, the thing with If you're coming in the pits, Lee, it's where you can. It kind of sounds weird, but you can gain a lot of time coming to the pits.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can also lose a lot of time. The Yellow Submarine almost lost a lot of time and junked the cars, so you gotta be very cautious when coming into the pits, especially when they have the grass around the track. But really, still really good battle. Really curious to see how these cars are gonna come out when the pit cycle's done.
Yeah, like I say, for sure, it's going to be a key part of today's race for us to keep an eye on. Going racing and Yellow Submarine still stationary now. Yellow Submarine get going, and yeah, Albrecht Motorsports now starting to work their way through the penultimate corner onto the banking. I feel like Yellow Submarine are going to be gone. I mean, it's a long pit lane, but we can see they're almost at the pit lane speed limit already. But now Albrecht comes over the start-finish line. We see on the track map it's going to be much closer than I thought, Avery. And Albrecht Motorsport already up to speed. And the limiter actually for the pit lane we can see was a little bit further down. And so Albrecht Motorsport coming through turn 1. We don't quite see him flash by. And yeah, Yellow Submarine get it by a couple of seconds. Makes a big difference, of course, that they get to cut turn 1 there out of pit lane. And yeah, they retain the position. And let's see what sort of pace they can get up to now as Albrecht's looking... Oh, full course yellow, I want to say. Everyone going pretty slow, I reckon, there. And not seeing it come up on our race control panel at the moment. But yes, full course yellow for all classes has been put out as we go just past the 45-minute mark in this race. So, yeah, kind of... going to be interesting how that plays out as a couple of the LMP2 cars are still in pit lane. They didn't quite get their stops done before the full course yellow came out. So, yeah, we'll see how that affects things, where they're going to end up in the pack.
Yeah, that changes, everything. You see Kyle Allen in that number 13 car coming in, getting 4 fresh tires filled up with fuel. And they might have made a driver change. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, so... full course yellow at the 47-minute mark. So we're going to be stack them up, pack them up, and we'll do it all over again. We'll see if there's any violations
close
on this.
look between the LMP2s here, sorry, Avery, as GSE coming out just barely ahead of Yellow Submarine coming out pit lane again. That them able to cut the turn 1 there made all the difference. So
right.
Be interesting to see whether everything is going to be above board rule-wise in terms of the speed that both sets of cars were doing there, because they both seem to be kind of flying down in towards turn 1, knowing that it was going to be close. And yeah, GSE for now technically showing in the LMP2 lead, but they're kind of at the back of the train, Avery. Like, how's this going to work, right? We can see on the track map, P1 and P2 coming to the back of the train, and that's going to leave them, almost a full lap ahead at the minute. So I dare say there's going to be a bit of shuffling around to be done. Let me have a look at our very kindly provided notes from the admin team to see if we have an idea as to how this might be dealt with, if at all.
So yeah, they're going to have a good opportunity to redo what you did before, and get a little bit tighter up with the pack. So they will, they'll sort the prototype of the GT class, so that's very important. So I always think doing the full course yellows takes a good group of drivers to understand, because you don't have the iRacing telling you when to come down pit and when pit lane's open. So a really good job by the administration crew to keep this intact. So yeah, full course yellow.
And on that note of pit lane, yeah, that's exactly how they're going to do the sorting. So we should expect GTDs to come down pit lane first, to allow any kind of corrections that the admin team decide are necessary, and then before the restart, then we might expect the same again for maybe LMP2 coming into pit lane, just to do some corrections on GTD. So yeah, we'll see. They'll do some shuffling around, I dare say, to get everything in order between LMDH, LMP2 and GTD, and then after a couple of laps, I would imagine, we will be going back to green again. And that gives us just a quick option in this little interim period whilst everything is getting shuffled into place, just to again thank Virtual for partnering with VSCA Sports Car Championship, and yeah, you can check out virtualesports.gg to check out their vSports website. So again, virtual in this instance is spelled VR7UAL esports.gg. They're also hosting a MX5 Cup and GT3 series that runs every Thursday, so you can also find information about that on that same virtualesports.gg site as well. And yeah, we thank them for their partnering with the VSCA, and yeah, we can see that on the track map the LMP2s looking like they've been released Avery past the GTD, so that they can start to catch up with those top 3 LMP2 cars.
Yep, all cars that were in that left lane get that wave by, so get that lap back. The only bummer part about full course yellows, it's the weight gain, but I really admire how they run these full course yellows. It's, you know, a lot of some groups, they have a, you know, driver driving the safety car, but they prove you don't need that, and they've been doing really good. So it's gonna bring the pack up back together. Now the thing we're gonna have to see, Lee, is are we gonna have a little patience on the restart, or are we gonna have a little too much aggression? So still early in the race. We're not quite to the halfway point, about 30 minutes away from the halfway point of this race. 2 hours, 40 minutes is the distance, and 45 minutes is the minimum drive time. So most drivers haven't or just got to that before they pit. So, but yeah, really good run so far.
Yeah, no, it's been a great start to the race. Been kind of frantic in all 3 classes. Drama with, you know, cars in all 3 classes getting those race start violations and getting those drive-through penalties to shuffle things up a little bit as well. And I think we would be looking for more of the same again with these close battles for the lead in all 3 classes. It's been, and honestly, it's been pretty good racing so far as well, Avery. Right? You know, we've had the odd little incident here and there, but most of it has been just kind of pretty minor sort of stuff that people have been able to gather themselves back up and continue on. We've not seen anything particularly egregious, and yeah, this circuit's kind of lending itself well so far to this good multi-class racing.
Yeah, I think we've only really had the one big incident, and that was with the 88 and the 12, the LMDHs. Other than that, it's just been, you know, getting into someone's rear and spinning them a little bit, or having someone go through the grass. So yeah, it's been a very good race so far. 53 minutes down. So I think these drivers they kind of know what they got now after making their first fuel run and got fresh tires on. So they know how their car's going to handle throughout the whole run in the race. It's a lot different than if you're just practicing by yourself, because it's so hard to simulate the actual racing portion of setting up your car. So now they know what their car can do. They probably got one good run in to go, and then they'll probably make the driver swap. Most likely, I would think. There's the one driver, Mark Johnson, that CMS racing car.
Something going on the front straight there. I think vSPORTS 198 having an issue. So yeah, we'll probably catch what that was in a moment, hopefully. But yeah, this has not been an uneventful race for vSPORTS 198. I think it's safe to say, and yeah, they're currently gotten going again in 6th, and yeah, let's see what happens. So completely clear track in front of him for now, and just realised he shouldn't have been overtaking and just kind of locked the brakes getting stopped. So not as dramatic as I had thought, but yeah, still not ideal. So yeah, they're running in that 6th position at the minute, and again we saw the pace from Harry Lawrence at the start of the race, and of course, you know, he's got the opportunity now to make some. Again, he needs to strike that balance, right? Because he knows he's got the pace, but equally he knows that, you know, if he's going for moves when they're not entirely on, he's going to get himself tangled up again. So he needs to try and just be patient, pick the cars off one at a time if he's got the pace still over them, and yeah, he can find himself back at the sharp end again very, very quickly indeed. Looks like we're getting closer and closer to the classes being shuffled out. Most of the LMDHs ahead of most of the LMP2s, who are ahead of most of the GTDs. So maybe just another lap or so to go to finish up, and then we should be good to get green again, as pretty much as we'll roll into the start of hour 2.
Yeah, it looks like the race control gave the commands for the prototype and GTD class sort The one thing I want to point out, this full course yellow, it helps out a lot of drivers that had their, drive-through penalties, or they had their mistakes or their runoffs. So like Harry Lawrence. So I mean, this is a good chance for those drivers that made those mistakes to go, you know what? I think I hopefully learned from what I did before if I went off track or made some aggressive moves, and it gives them a chance to, it's a second chance. So you see the split going through now with the GTD cars going through pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I say, so that should be a big chunk of the class sorting that will resolve itself thanks to GTD's heading into pit lane, as you say. So yeah, we should be ready to get going again relatively soon. Let's have a quick skim through the sort of top 5 of each class. So yeah, out in front in LMDH is still World of Sim Racing team with Danny Fonte, Pedra leading the way after making that good move kind of early on to cement their position at the front and start trying to push on. And you got Delta Racing GTP there in second, with CMSRacing.com Pro in third, Grizzly Motorsport 7 still in that fourth, and then Maya SimSpeed Performance in fifth. So that just leaves GA Motorsport and Sapphire Sim Sport, who suffered those couple of penalties to try and make their way back through the field. Then in LMP2 we got GSE Esports Racing VSCA leading the way with Yellow Submarine Squad in second. So I feel like, no, that was correct, right? GSE came out in the pit stop. So so GSE nipped ahead of Yellow Submarine Squad thanks to the safety car in their pit stop. So we'll see what the pace difference is going to be between these couple of cars once they get going. Then in third we've got Vision 1 Motorsport 13, Albrecht Motorsports in fourth. So that pit strategy / timing of the safety car hasn't worked out massively for them, but they're still well and truly in the hunt. And then we've got Fischer Motorsport Dallara then in fifth. And then back at the GTDs, we've got Kinetic Racing VSCA GT3 leading the way there, with Fischer Motorsport Porsche in second, Screeching Moose Motorsports in third, Delta Racing GTD in fourth, and SimRacing.com Endurance rounding out the top 5 of the GTD class. So yeah, there was a bit of shuffling going on, especially in the LMP2s, because they were in the middle of their pit stops when the safety car came out, and pretty much the rest of the classes kind of as they were. So yeah, a bit more sorting of prototypes to go. So we are going to have one more run through in pit lane, I presume, for the LMP2s to get themselves completely in order, and then hopefully we can be back under green again fairly soon from there.
Yep, we'll see. I'm pretty sure we'll see these LMP2s come down pit road, but man, really good driving for a lot of these cars. This is something we've seen throughout this race. Now this pit stop opportunity, so it looks like we'll have the LMDHs are coming down pit road as we see, and such a different pit road for me personally, Lee. I've been to this track once when they race the road course because they go the other way. So it's interesting, and what makes these like road teams a little bit different is some tracks they pit to the left, and some tracks they pit towards the right. So you gotta always keep that in mind when you're coming in and what you're always used to. Because me being a circular kind of guy, it's pretty easy just to go left. So they're doing their little split here, and we'll get back to green momentarily. But that's just a gaggle of cars in a pit road there.
Yeah, so LMP2, LMDHs and LMD and GTDs all taking their pit stops. Look, so so busy pit lane in there for now, and basically just the LMP2s pretty much that continued on, along with one or two GTD stragglers. So so that's really going to mix things up as well, and we'll see see what teams are able to get their cars underway the quickest, and how that's going to fit the running order. So really interesting that again both sets of pit stops for pit stops for all 3 classes have been affected in amongst the safety car, and GTDs are back underway again, working their way out of pit lane.
Yep, just getting their pit stops, and this changes up the strategy a little bit. They might have gone into this race not knowing when the full course yellow was going to come out, so they're going about, I'd say, 40 minutes or so on fuel. So that's something to always keep in mind, that You could short pit, take as much fuel or run it to the end. Just kind of depends on how your car handles with the fuel load. So
And so Samuli in the production room has pointed out to us that here he is right on cue. The number 39 Sapphire Simsport Echo LMDH is the only LMDH who did not pit on that lap. So does that or does that not stitch them up? Right. So they've still got to make their pit stop, and they're gonna come out at the back of the LMDHs surely, because all the LMDHs we can see on the track map have caught straight back up to the pack under safety car. So that may have been a bit of a miscue for Sapphire there. Let's see how that develops once things get underway. But yeah, really interesting, the change of strategy straight away. And they're actually the only car in the entire grid not to come through pit lane so far.
a very interesting strategy. I'm not quite sure how long the LMDH can go on fuel. So I don't know. It just depends on how it's going to work. But they just didn't stop. I think that's one thing to keep in mind when you go with the strategy on when you're going to come in and get pits, because maybe they have the train of thought going, well, we got to come into pits 2 more times anyways, most likely. So maybe they're trying to split it up a little bit and get that track position.
Yeah, well, say they definitely got the track position right now, but yeah, a little bit more shuffling to do. Say we've got LMP2s mostly at the front of the field, then the bulk of the LMDHs after that. So yes, a little bit more rearranging to do from the admins at the minute. Got a couple of little other incidents as well. So we've got some safety car violations being investigated, unfortunately being filed by a couple of different teams. So we'll wait and see how, again, that is going to develop in the next sort of 15-20 minutes or so once they've been reviewed by admins. So yeah, we've got car number 38 and car number 66 currently under investigation for various safety car violations.
I was going to say, when it comes to sim racing and these endurance races, Lee, when it comes to race strategy, I am definitely not the person to come up with the right moves. So it's always good to see how these teams are able to have their strategy, because in most cases you kind of have a feeling what you're going to do going into the race. So really cool to see a little bit different strategies coming on with the full course yellow with that Sapphire Simsport team. They've showed pace. I mean, it's a very fast car. Their best lap, 116. Only a couple drivers got into the only one driver or 2 drivers got into the 115. It looks like. So it's always good to have a clean track in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, make a huge difference, especially in an event like this. Yeah, so let's say just waiting still for things to get organised a little bit cleaner to the admin satisfaction, so that we can get under racing again. Yeah, end of hour 1 being and gone now, and into the start of hour 2. Yeah, really interested to see where Sapphire Simsport are going to end up over the next sort of hour, because they're going to end up at the back of the LMDH field surely, due to say not taking that pit stop along with the rest of the LMDHs. But LMP2s and GTDs looking pretty good. I didn't really see much change in position in the GTDs through their pit stops. So Kinetic Racing we see still at the front. Maybe Delta Racing maybe gained a little bit. But yeah, Fisher Motorsport were second. So yeah, Delta Racing definitely gained through their pit cycle, at least that 1 position, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, not much change, like you said. So this is one thing I want to kind of point out is that Grizzly Motorsports car, that leader of the points, is in 5th place in that LMDH. So still sitting in a good spot for the points championship. So for the sprint series, for everybody watching, they emulate the IMSA series, and they have the sprint and the endurance, and they have the overall. So this is the final round of the sprint series. So that Grizzly Motorsports driver is in the number 7 car. The one behind them in the point standings, in the overall, is that Meyer SimSpeed car. So they're right next to each other in the overall standings. In the sprint, it's that JO Motorsports car, and they're sitting in 7th spot. And so anything can happen here, Lee. It's still early to always keep that in mind. Yeah, we're almost to the halfway point, but we've seen you have one good lap, and then the next lap, contact and go off the track. So it's a corner by corner race here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I say, things can change extremely quickly indeed. As the guys work their way around for another lap under that full course safety period. And we can see for Talk Freak Racing, we saw they were again running in the top 3. They had that little spin, kind of rear stepping out in the mid corner just before the safety car, but they're still going in that 9th position currently. So again, opportunity to them move back up hopefully and start fighting for a top 3 position yet again. Same for Mad Sim Racing, just ahead of them there in that 8th place. Good to see a couple of Mercedes up there in the top 10 of the GTDs as well. Where's our lone Ferrari? Still down in 20th in class. Aaron Beaver for Nerd Herd Racing still representing the Ferrari there, but yeah, maybe not having the best of days so far, but still opportunity to make further progress and continue on through the rest of the race.
Yeah, like you said, still plenty of race left to go for the Ferrari there. It's a really cool car. I've been driving it a lot lately. I'm maybe not quite as quick, or I'm not as slow as with some of the other cars. So it's a fun car to drive. But this GTD field is 20 cars on track. Unfortunately, the Real Pixel Motorsports car wasn't. They were in the session, but they didn't start the race. So 20 GTD cars, doing a really good job and still on track. And that's the important thing, that they're still on the track.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's good to see the volume out there. Right, so whilst we're still trying to kill this little bit of time as we're coming up towards sort of the 10-minute mark under full course yellow. A couple of notes again that the admin team very kindly provided for like changes in the championship rules since we last saw them here on Apex Racing TV all the way back in May, I think it was. So since then the iRating minimum or the iRating cap, has been raised from 4,000 to 4,250. So just a little bit more headroom there for drivers to be able to take part. All drivers who are doing their first ever race have to have minimum iRating of 1,500 and then that maximum of 250, as we just said. Each driver's drive time requirements are now linked to driver rating, so that looks like that varies on a case-by-case basis, it seems. And then probably one of the key ones, I'd imagine, certainly for sort of the teams and making sure they're managing their race effectively, is that race control are no longer monitoring car contacts like proactively. So any car contacts that someone feels like needs to be looked at has to be reported by a competitor in order for race control to look at it. Every entry can only report a maximum of 3 incidents per race. So kind of pick them wisely as you go through, and once let me read this one again. What's this one saying? After they've had one unsuccessful appeal, then a team cannot try and appeal any further instances. They just have one unsuccessful appeal available to them. So yes, those are the key changes that have happened since we last saw them, say back in May. And and like I say, here we are at the 10th race of the season out of 11. Just the one more to go, which is at Road Atlanta, and then that'll be this 2023 season wrapped up and ready to go. So we saw a little bit more shuffling of the pack through pit lane. Looks like we're getting there. We've got LMDH at the front, GTDs in the middle, LMP2s at the back. So I dare say, Avery, hopefully GTDs can come through pit lane this time by. It'll be everyone in order, and then we can get back under racing conditions again.
Yeah, it looks like the GTDs will come in for their class sort this lap. One thing I want to make a point, this series going to Road Atlanta, it's two different types of tracks for these drivers. So they're gonna get done with this race and they're gonna be like, oh boy, we got a completely different track. They both drive different. Uh, Here at Indianapolis, no elevation changes. Road Atlanta, many elevation changes. So two total different types of tracks. But that's what the IMSA schedule does. They go to a bunch of different places. They went to VIR a couple weeks ago. A good friend of mine, he's a flag marshal there, so he was kind of explaining to me on how a lot of their flagging works and how with race control and stuff, and it's very similar to how the VSCA does their races. So I mean, it's tough to emulate, and they do a really good job. So here comes the GTD cars for the class split, and then we should be going green anytime.
Yeah, hopefully one more lap, and then we should be underway back into to racing conditions.
But yeah, really good group of drivers here. This class split, like we said earlier, is going to help out those drivers who maybe had the penalty earlier or made some off tracks. So this is going to really change it up a little bit, because about 40-ish minutes is what your fuel run is for those GTD cars. So we'll see. Maybe they can stretch it to just one pit stop, but it's going to be tight. But remember that minimum drive time that needs to be done. So
yeah, definitely gonna play its part as we come into the racing. See the GTDs just waiting for the last LMP2 to get by, and then they can work their way out of pit lane. And yeah, hopefully that should be us back under racing conditions when we come around next time by. And yeah, Sapphire SimSport Echo going to be leading the pack, with World of Sim Racing Team in second, CMSRacing.com Pro in third for LMDH, and GSE Esports Racing, Yellow Submarine Squad, and Vision 1 Motorsport 1, 2 and 3 for LMP2, and then Kinetic Racing, Delta Racing GTD, and Fisher Motorsport Porsche 1, 2 and 3 for GTD here as we are watching. So to my eyes, Avery, everything looks all nice and neat and tidy now. I don't see any cars out of position. So yeah, I would expect that Alexander Royer for Sapphire SimSport gets the nod from the admin team that he is now in control of the field, and he can decide when he gets going for the green flag as we come around next time by. And we're going to be back to the start of the race again, Avery, right? We're going to see a frantic first 10 laps or so, super close racing between the lot, and hopefully clean racing at that, and no big incidents from any of those classes.
oh yeah, this is an opportunity to reset and get ready to go in. Yep, the race control chat just came in and said they will be going restart at the end of this lap. So they will be getting ready to take the green flag here. And that Sapphire SimSport car, who's been very fast, but the fastest car to put down a lap is the one right behind him in that World of Sim Racing Team number 51. So there were a couple driver changes that were made. So we'll see what their pace is for the different driver, but slowly creeping into the restart zone.
Yeah, and all three classes at the minute still bunched up quite a lot, so LMP2s haven't left a gap, and Sapphire SimSport just didn't go on the green, being completely left. What happened there? Really weird that, yeah, they just missed the nod completely, ending up down in 5th at the minute. I dare say they're going to lose a little bit more as well. World of Sim Racing Team P1 of Grizzly Motorsports out of nowhere in P2. How did that happen, Avery? And yeah, into turn 1. World of Sim Racing Team, then Grizzly Motorsport, then Mayor SimSpeed are our new top 3 in LMDH. Terrible, awful start for Sapphire Sim Racing, or Sapphire SimSport there, down in 6th after yeah, leading the train round all of that time. Behind the safety car, LMP2s are as they were for now. GSE Esports with Yellow Submarine Squad super close behind, and they've gapped Albrecht Motorsports. So Albrecht have moved up one spot in this lap, so they were in 4th. And here comes Submarine Squad with that same dive that they made a little bit earlier on in the race. A little bit tidier this time, side by side. GSE trying to hang on in there. But Submarine Squad, and the rear comes round for GSE Esports. I didn't quite catch it properly there. Avery, did you see contact between the two, or do you just think the rear came round?
I was taking a look at the point standings on the other
Same.
screen to try to do the calculation, and then I looked and seen the cars spinning. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not quite
might
sure
have
what
been a bit.
happened.
I think it might have been a little bit of netcode again, maybe on that corner, like we saw on a previous instant. Let's have another look at it a little bit harder now and see what happened. Yeah, the cars were close. I mean, there was netcode on my screen, but again, just maybe. I think the submarine car that time looked tight and close on the apex. They looked pretty good, and the other car just needed to give a little bit more space. Things from bad to worse. Sapphire SimSport Echo into pits. I dare say this is because it's time for him to pit for fuel, Avery, right? Just as we saw. So yeah, that's going to put him practically practically a lap down on the rest of the LMDHs if they do indeed have to stop and take their fuel now.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was what it was for. So they'll be coming in, get their fuel and tires, and I think what they're really hoping for Lee is another full course yellow, so they can try to extend, just make it on the one stop. So maybe letting them by was kind of a strategy move. I don't know. I mean, coming to that way you weren't in the way coming in pit road, but we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm in the booth. I'm not the strategist, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, really, really bizarre from Sapphire. Then let's say just kind of completely ruined their race at the minute, and they are going to be almost an entire lap down, if not actually a lap down, as the LMDH has come down pit lane. Sapphire still, LMDH has come down the pit straight. Sorry, and yeah, Sapphire have now indeed been lapped from what was the lead under the safety car. Really, really unfortunate. What a terrible portion of the race for them. LMP2's battling hard as Delta Racing GTP in the LMDH class has a little trip through the grass, manages to gather it back up and get back going again without too much harm. And then we've got a driver change as well there for Sapphire SimSport Echo. So Riyad Mohammadeh now taking over, and he's got quite a task ahead.
Yeah, I think Riyad is going to finish the race there. That they got their minimum drive time in, so the only time will tell. We're almost to the halfway point here, Lee. So, a little bit of a wheel shake coming out of that corner there. So, you got different drivers. So a lot of times you get in the race, like when they make that driver change, you just don't know how the other teams are going to handle it. So, another car off track. That's in LP2.
Going racing. So they were at the sharp end. They were running sort of top three, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, big issue for Josh going. They're heading to the back of the LMP2 field. And I dare say it's going to be some contact. Car immediately ahead, car immediately behind. Move from the car behind. No, he outbrakes himself completely. Great job from Josh going to at least avoid contact from both those LMP2s. And yeah, big sigh of relief from those cars all around, I dare say. And he's off and away again. But yeah, lost a fistful of positions.
Yeah, just when you know you're going to overshoot the corner, you just got to understand and go, okay, I overshot this and I don't want to junk the car, so I just kind of run through that instance. So really good job by him. But that Aiden Campbell car in that 67 Kinetic Racing, he has been running super strong all race. So got about 0.8 of a second gap, but still a little bit of the tow from that Delta Racing car starting to tow up into him.
Yeah, absolutely, just hanging on in there for sure. So yeah, so top three in GTD, Kinetic, Delta, Fisher Motorsport, all looking to break away a little bit from fourth position in the World of Sim Racing team, 5.5 seconds back from the lead car. So opportunity for the top three to just try and work together a little bit, maybe make sure they clear the pack and then start battling from there, just as the two Mercedes AMGs are battling hard for 5th and 6th position between Screeching Moose and Mad Sim Racing. Screeching Moose coming out on top for now, but let's see if Mad Sim Racing has a move lined up into this braking zone for the left-hander coming up. They back out of it a little bit, look for a bit of a cutback maybe on the exit as it gets shaped up, but yeah, nothing doing this time by. So that's really been the main spot for overtakes so far today, Avery, or at least overtake attempts. So even like maybe almost more than turn one, really. It's been that braking zone into turn 7.
Yeah, I think that's you're exactly right. That going into turn 7 is just a different spot to where you normally think that happens, but it just depends on where you can get the good run out of the corner. So The one thing to keep in mind is we are looking at these GTD cars. The 1 through 3 have pulled out to a pretty good gap. It's 4 seconds from third to fourth, so really good job by them. But another battle in here for around the 12th and 13th position. 3 wide as they cross the yard of bricks.
Yeah, with Fisher Motorsports sat in the middle there, I believe. Let's see who's going to be bravest on the brakes. And yeah, 2 Lamborghinis and 1 Porsche. First Lambo backs out of it. Next 2 just about continue through. Porsche, Porsche was braver on the brakes for, sorry, it's Firestorm, not Fisher Motorsport, but just got tagged by the Lamborghini on the inside, unfortunately. So, yeah, it was a good opportunity for the move. Looked like the move really was completed. Yeah, coming out of the corner, the hard work was done. And then, yeah, unfortunate tag around by on Firestorm Motorsport there, and that drops them down into 16th and already 25 seconds off the lead. So, yeah, tough time there for Errol Uric Soy.
Yeah, just a little rough off, but luckily for him, it's we just got to the halfway point, so there's plenty of time to get back going, to start clicking off some good laps. As you see, the leaders of the LMDHs are starting to go by the back of the GTD pack, so this is where it starts to get hectic. We've seen it earlier today, Lee. We'll see what happens momentarily.
Yeah, like I say, super busy there as they all come into the right-hander at the back of the lap. 3 wide in the background there as well between 2 GTDs and an LMDH. Looks like they all just about get away with it. And yeah, LMDHs all move stage right and start firing themselves down the pit straight, jumping at as many GTDs as they can. Here they are into turn 1. Great camera shot as we see all the cars coming in towards us. And yeah, Joshua Wolf there, Grizzly Motorsport, still in that second position. Great job after that safety car restart to hang on to that second place for now, but he's under lots and lots of pressure, both from Mayor SimSpeed and from CMSRacing.com for that second position on the podium. What a sim racing team. Pulled the pin a little bit, 3.5 seconds down the road. Here comes Mayor having a little bit of a look, but nothing doing this time by.
Yeah, there's that Lawrence in that 198 up into third. Put on a really good run for that team and that Delta Sport car. So they're not too far behind that Sapphire Sim Sport Delta team. So they've been, they've really recouped very well. To be up and into the podium and a shot for second.
Absolutely, and Sapphire SimSport as well. So Albrecht, last time we checked in, were in second. So yeah, so they've lost 2 spots, and Sapphire SimSport in second with Delta Sport well on the case. So we should really see Harry Lawrence for Delta Sport 198 look to make the move on Sapphire SimSport pretty soon. We've seen he's been having the pace over kind of most, if not all, of the LMP2 field so far. But then he's got work to do because Yellow Submarine have disappeared 8.5 seconds down the road in these opening laps since our last safety car. And yeah, that's a fair chunk of time for Harry Lawrence here to start working to make up.
Yeah, the one thing to keep in mind with this LMP2 division for the Sprint Championship, that Albrecht Motorsports car just needs to finish the race because the Trading Paints team the race is over. So the number 19 car down 12 laps, so they really just need to finish the race. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully for them they can finish without getting too much damage.
And every time we look at Alfonso here for Yellow Submarine Squad, he's basically out of control trying to recover, and yeah, very much the same heading into turn 7 again. We've seen him lock up there multiple times, and yeah, really getting kind of tangled up with the GTDs, but somehow manages to survive it for now. So how long can we see this working for Avery? Let's say he's in the lead, looking like he's got the pace over most of the field, if not all the field. But surely he's gonna come unstuck at some point if he continues pushing to that point where he's locking wheels, having the rear step out at him at every opportunity. It's crazy to see in such a long format race.
Well, you can only bite off so much of the steak before you can chew. So we'll see what happens. He's been very aggressive, but you need to find that fine line of aggression and cautious. And I don't know where the line is, but he's pretty close to it.
Yeah. I think over the line a lot of the time, it certainly seems. And yeah, it's been a little bit cleaner now since we've been on board, to be fair. It's been under control. God, it's that late little move up the inside of the GTD into the chicane there. God, I wouldn't have wanted to have been that GTD driver. But let's see how he is into turn 7. Because again, pretty much every time into turn 7 he's been locking the brakes. Just about manages to choose a sensible option of hanging behind the GTDs. Looks much tidier this lap, to be fair. And if he's just, I was going to say, be patient here. I'm surprised he's gone up the inside there. Why not? You've got an 8-second gap. Why not just wait for that last corner and then get the run on all 3 GTDs through the section? But it worked out for him for that time by, and a little bit of a cleaner track ahead of him for now, hopefully, and should be on his way. So, yeah, frantic. That was a good little example of what this is going to be like lap in and lap out as Nicholas Antonenko for Sapphire SimSport as well, working through the GTD traffic as well, and yeah, Delta Sport not giving him any breather at all.
Yeah, the drivers, the Yellow Submarine just passed. Those are the 2 that are battling for the points championship. That's 78 and the 5, Champion Motorsports and Screeching Moose Motorsports. So the battle for the championship is on for those GTD cars. But man, I tell you what though, that 198 of Harry Lawrence has really impressed me from all the things that have gone wrong in the first half of the race up into 3rd. And I think he's at the point where I'm just going to try to stay in line and try to catch up to that Yellow Submarine and try to pull away from that Albrecht Motorsports number 96, because like we've seen, when you start battling with people, you start losing time.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Yellow Submarine, their gap has just fluctuated so much in the last couple of laps. As they had that little bit of an issue with GTD, it dropped down to 5 seconds, and now that Sapphire and Delta Sport are having the same sort of issues, it's jumped straight back up above 10 seconds, and Delta Sport is trying to take the opportunity, diving up the inside of Sapphire there. They're not quite got the run at the minute, but there's not really an overlap and a little bit of contact between the 2. I'm kind of surprised that they ended up kind of coming into 1 there. Like I said, the space wasn't quite there yet, but hopefully not significant damage for either car, and they continue in the order that they were still.
Yeah, it was definitely a chance for to be a lot worse. Just have a little bit of contact and the car's not junked. That's okay, but the CMS Racing car, number 79, they're coming down to the pit road, so that is they pitted from the 5th position. So we'll see a strategy for the cars that when they're going to be able to make it, because we got a couple pit stops I think for the GTD cars, and I believe the LMDH is going to make one more stop. So we'll just have to see what the strategy is, but really good racing all the way through the field. But the one thing I want to point out, the gaps, 5 seconds from 1st to 2nd, LMDH, almost 13 for the LMP2, and the GTD is 4 seconds. So yeah, the gap's grown a little bit, but there's still opportunity to shrink it up, and that's a big move by that prototype there to get around the 96. But really good racing so far. After the halfway point, 58 laps, or 57 completed, I guess, for the LMDHs. So they're screaming around this track super fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And say before you know it, they're going to be catching back up to the field again and have all that traffic to deal with once again. They've got a clean section for the moment, a bit less clean for the LMP2s here, battling for 6th position between Fisher Motorsport, Lara, and GSE Racing, who were, of course, leading up. They started the safety car at the front, right? GSE Racing. So yeah, they've had a little bit of a tough time dropping back down into 6th position. And yeah, right in the thick of things and off lawnmowing is Thomas Fisher for CMS Racing Pro.com in the LMDHs. Fortunately managed to get that back up, but yeah, ended up a long way off the track. So big issues there. And Harry Lawrence looking to make this move on Sapphire SimSport. Delta should get the drive off a corner, and Sapphire run out of road onto the grass. Fortunately managed to gather it back up again. That's the move done by Delta Sport 198. But you can see they've now 15 seconds behind Yellow Submarine from that 9 seconds when we last looked. Huge damage for the Lamborghini there.
Yeah, speaking of that Lamborghini, they were given a warning for an incident earlier in the race. So you get three warnings or plus car contacts. You have a warning and disqualification. But went around by a prototype, just wrong place, wrong time. Super unfortunate for that Torque Freak racing car. Nice looking Lambo. I mean, I think it looks pretty sharp. So.
Yeah, I like the livery on that for sure. But yeah, really unfortunate. Obviously, they got big rear suspension damage, and going to need to tow back to pit lane. And I dare say we're going to see that come up in our race control tracking, and yes, that will be looked at. I am sure coming up. Just towards the midfield of the GTDs, look at that little train of 3 cars there: 10th, 11th, and 12th. Fulson Racing, Grizzly Motorsports 9, and Hack Racing, all battling over that final top 10 position in GTD. And the 2 BMWs here looking like they're going to be having a good battle into turn 1, and LMP2 should just about clear both of them before they get in. They do, and here comes Grizzly Motorsport 9 up inside, and that's them up into that 10th position over Fulson Racing, and immediately Fulson Racing under pressure there from Hack Racing as well.
Yeah, real good overtake there, and big prop. That was good racecraft. You could have tried to go side by side into one, but what's the point? So it was really good racecraft there for this GTD division, because they're very close. 10th all the way back to 14th is about a 4-second gap, but this is a really good battle for the LMDH. They're going side by side into the corner. A little brake clock out for both the drivers there, Lee.
Yeah, fortunately managed to survive, still side by side all the way through that sequence of corners, and eventually then JO Motorsports gets the nod. Something happened to Grizzly Motorsports 7 already, right? Because last time we checked in, Grizzly Motorsports were in 2nd, then it was Mayer, then it was JO. So yeah, a couple of spots left now for Grizzly Motorsport, back down into the 4th position that they were more like a little bit earlier on, and it's up to Mayer Simsby Performance now to lead the charge then on Waterson Racing Team. 6-7 seconds down the road.
And that JL Motorsports team, they're leading the LMDH Sprint Cup Championship right now over that number 79, the CMS Racing. And so in the instance for JL Motorsports, they just need to keep the race clean. Speaking of not keeping the race clean, that's that Sapphire SimSport Delta team in 3rd, going off track. So trying to keep an eye on the point situation here. They're kind of set right now, but once we get a little more towards that 2-hour point, we'll try to give another update on how the points are looking.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be good to have an idea of as we continue through. And JM Motorsports just trying to gap a little bit already on Grizzly Motorsports, pulling up towards 7/10, closer to a 2nd as they come back into turn 7 again. And they've got a little bit of time to try and make up on Mayer if they want to try and challenge for that 2nd position, sort of 4 seconds or so down the road. Those couple of safety car kind of violations that I mentioned earlier on, one of them has had a no further action, so that was car 38, and then car 66 still looks to be under investigation. So let's have a quick look who is 66. That is VRG Sport at the back of the LMP2 field, so not going to affect too much for them regardless, I would say. But yeah, still under review. And there they are right on screen. Another clean livery, another nice blue and orange contrast. And the car looks in pretty good condition at the minute. But they are, let's have a look. They are a lap down on the next position in 10th.
Yeah, anytime I'm really a big fan of blue and orange, so it's always cool to see the car. I'm not when it comes to orange, I'm not an Arrow McLaren fan, but I'd like those cars. I think they look sweet. But they're really good run. Yeah, they're 1 lap back, but here's the thing, Lee, they're still on track. They're still putting down laps. Yeah, they may not be in contention for the win, but if another full course yellow comes out, that should move them to the lead lap. So that's the importance of just staying out on track and just getting better and collecting points. Try to get as much points as you can, because at the end of the day, this is a points race for the overall for the whole season. So they're doing a really good job sitting in 11th place, and the car looks clean.
Yeah, no, definitely does. So good luck to them as they continue on. And Matthew Roughton here up inside of Full Send Racing, trying to get the drive into this tricky braking zone, coming off the oval course. Doesn't quite get it done that time by. So Full Send Racing stay in front for that 11th position. And you see a bit of a queue forming now of those GTD cars behind. So we've got 6 of them all in a train. So yeah, looks like at the minute Full Send Racing is a little bit of the bottleneck in that group as they try and pull out of the draft a little bit from the Hack Racing team behind. And they look like they should be safe heading into turn 1.
Yeah, nice drive into turn number 1 there by these competitors for that 11th place. But around goes the driver that was in 2nd place in the GTD division. And then that was 2nd place in the LMDH division that got caught up into that too. It looks like maybe we'll see. Take a look back at the replay.
Yeah, I think the GTD gets rear-ended. I think, right, we saw damage on the back of it, I'm pretty sure. So let's have a look now as Delta Racing come into that braking zone, into turn 4. Oh, big contact on the curb. Here comes the LMDH, nowhere to go. And actually, it was the LMP2 then that made contact with them. So what a weird reaction off of that curb. Touched clattered the curb, and it just sent the car straight up onto 2 wheels. Yeah, luckily for Mayor SimSpeed, they managed to avoid and just take the grass, so they should be safe. Let's have a look and see what it looks like on the onboard. God, yeah, just violently spits the car straight up as they knocked on that curb, and there's a contact from the LMP2 as well. So unfortunate all round on that one, but yeah, so Mayor SimSpeed, who we're looking at now, did manage to escape unscathed. All it means is that they're under immediate pressure now from JO Motorsports. I said a second ago that they were 4 seconds back or so. That's been wiped away completely, and now it's a half-second gap for that 2nd position on the podium. World Sim Racing team, 15 seconds down the road.
Yeah, good job by that Mayor SimSpeed car to, when they realized the car was going around in front of them, they went to the grass instead of driving right into them. So that saved the race. I mean, so very smart move. Yes, the gap shrunk from 2nd to 3rd, but they're still on the track, Lee, and that's the important part. With an hour and 3 minutes to go left in this race, expect a pit stop, I would say, pretty soon for within 10 minutes or so for these, at least these GTD cars. So we'll just have to see what happens, but really good run for these LMDH cars for the battle for 2nd place. I mean, every car today, Lee, has had many, has had things go wrong, and they've been able to work through it. No one's had a perfect race, but that's what happens with multi-class side by side going into the final sector here. So there's that yellow submarine, always finds other cars. Yeah,
manages to skate on by yet again as they're 16 seconds up on Delta Sport 198 still. Trading Paints Racing Red here, working their way up in 9th, looking like they're going to challenge soon for 8th position over Dangler Performance as they head into turn 1. Again, nice little grouping of 4 GTDs here, all battling, a couple of BMWs shaping it up in the background, but nothing happening that time by. And quite boomish back there, really closing quite a lot under braking, but not quite close enough that time by. Here's Delta Racing GTD with Screech Motorsports, and that great rumble of the Mercedes AMG sounding fantastic as it goes on by. And who's that in the background? I think that's going to be our yellow submarine car again, having a little bit of think coming into turn 7, but the GTDs are safe for the moment at least.
Yeah, he's got that 20-second gap, so maybe a little more patient than earlier. The gap between all the series have grown quite a bit, but there's some really good racing.
Sorry, Avery. Delta Sport have dropped back to 3rd, so they've just had an issue with Sapphire SimSport then taking back over the lead, and Sapphire SimSport wide off the exit there as well, so they're going to be under pressure now as they try to negotiate with GTDs as well. So yes, it's really not been, it's 3 wide, so come around onto the banking, and 3 wide again. A little bit of jink from Delta Sport 198, get the position back again for now, but just struggling to get the clean race. Okay, there's a pit lane there, that's fine. There's no problem there for Sapphire SimSport. But Delta Sport just struggling to have that clean run with falling back again. But now they've got the opportunity. Now that's Sapphire SimSport have pitted to try and make up that space, working away 4 wide down pit lane, down pit straight for the LMP2s. And this is involving GSE Esports and Albrecht Motorsports again. And Albrecht turned in so sharply there, as if there was just no other cars around them, and they were trying to hit the apex. And there's like 3 cars next to them. So hopefully no significant damage for either car. Looks like they might have both survived it. But yeah, that was a slight misjudgment there, to say the least, I'd say, for Albrecht. And yeah, they look like they're going to be under pressure immediately now from Digital Spirit.
Yeah, that 4 wide looked like 30th Street leaving the Indy 500 going down that front straightaway. So really good sense here on that front straight. So I mean, really just some good overall racing, a lot of give and take. And you know, they're at that point of the race where you need to make some moves, but those moves can also destroy you. So way to get through that pretty good.
Yeah, all survived to fight another day indeed. But yeah, Albrecht just struggling a little bit on this stint. Again, they pretty sure they were up to second just after the safety car, and they're now gradually falling back down into 5th and going racing into pits there. You know, they had caught Albrecht, and yet we saw Going Racing having a little spin 20 minutes ago or something. So yeah, they've done well to pick that pace back up and start challenging. And maybe that was a good timing for them to pit as well. Yeah, they just started catching that little battle with Albrecht and the couple of cars in front, and then took that opportunity to dive off into pits, and perhaps they'll try and get a bit of a clearer run and leapfrog those cars when they come in for their own pit stops in the coming laps.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make that pit stop to come in. It's all about timing your pit stop. You know, when you're going to catch up to traffic, when if you're catching up to someone who's in your same class, and just depends. It's like when you're trying to make up your decision on when you're going to make the overtake too. Like sometimes we've seen cars force it. There's that Albrecht Motorsports cars looking pretty good. Just get in the corner a little bit different, get around the slower class. So that's the 111 who's been having a good run too. So a lot of cars out here. Just it's a race of attrition. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. You just got to, don't give up and just keep digging away. And that's what we've seen so far. Like Tomas here in that 155, we've seen him go around. Oh, there goes the Sapphire SimSport Delta team. They took the path less traveled.
So that's after their pit stop, right? So this is a driver change of Martin Pearson now then in the car, and immediately off to a tricky start as they're down into 9th. So yeah, that's not going to help their challenge for those lead positions with against Delta Sport 198. So hopefully they can get a clean few laps and now start to get a bit of a rhythm and build back up to that pace. But yeah, that's going to have made that challenge a little bit more tricky for them. Albrecht Motorsport still under pressure from Digital Spirit DS, and they have been dropped by DSE as well. So yeah, 5-second gap now for Albrecht. So definitely having a tough stint this time by, I think. I think Fisher Motorsport Dallara might be having a tough stint as well, as they're going to be under lots of pressure now from GSE Esports Racing. And yeah, they're looking like they're trying to make a move anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to make some move, and that's when you're starting to make moves and the car in front of you is starting to blink. That's when you miss your braking points and some other things. So you always have to be careful with the connection, as we are in a virtual world. So, but Tomas getting around those GTD car, in a good spot. So, good run for them. They're sitting in the 6th spot. Not too far back from 5th, as you can see. Put on a really good run. Those LMP2 cars are just a blast to run. And here comes an opportunity to try to make a good defense here.
Yeah, and say just a bit of breathing space now for Albrecht Motorsports, with the LMDH coming in between them and the Digital Sprint DS racing car. Thomas Mora doing a good job so far. And avoiding action for Liam DH just underneath us as well. There he is. And that's 2nd position against a Mayer SimSpeed in the space of 3 or 4 laps or so, having 2 trips through the grass, having to take avoiding action from GTDs. And yeah, again, looked like they were pretty fortunate at that time, managing to continue on, not really losing too much time, most importantly not seeming to get any damage. They're still 16 seconds or so back from World of Sim Racing team, but they have managed to pull this extra second or so off JO Motorsport. So when they had their last little trip through the grass, JO were right behind them within a second or so, or just over, and now it's more like 2.5 to 3 seconds between the two. So yeah, Maya just needs to keep trying to keep that nose clean, and they look like they've got maybe a little bit of pace over JO Motorsport for now.
One thing to keep in mind, we just got some information in from the race control, the 198, that Delta Sport drive-through penalty for full course yellow passing violation. And then another incident was, I believe, with the 155 LMP2 car, when the incident responsibility with him and the number 6, a stop and hold for 1 lap.
Wow, 1 lap. Okay, that is a big incident. And who was that? 155? Digital Spirit, DS Racing, who we were looking at a second ago following Albrecht. So yeah, big issues for them. And just a quick note on the 198 passing violation. That was what we saw on replay, right? That was Delta Sport 198 flying down the pit straight, jumping on the brakes, but having already gone past the car and then having to drop back. So that was their issue, and here they are coming into pit lane, presumably to serve that drive-through penalty.
Yep, that's I believe that was the incident. So you always got to be paying attention when stuff's happening. But lucky for them, they got pace. They got to come down pit road again one more time to get fuel and tires, but they'll be able to fight their way back up, especially if a full course yellow comes out. So they're already down to. They're going to probably come out around the 7th or 8th position, but they have pace. They just got to put together some good laps. So penalties are a part of sim racing, and you got to try to do your best to avoid getting those. And mistakes are going to bring you down the field. So it's unfortunate for them, but they just got to you're going to take it for what happened and just get back on the track and start clicking laps off. So it's a really good battle here, though. I mean, this has just been a phenomenal race. I mean, yeah, the gaps are from first to second in all 3 divisions are pretty wide, but it's still really good racing throughout the whole field. So about 50 minutes left to go in the race. This yellow submarine LMP2 is putting on a clinic so far. 34 seconds is the gap to second. So definitely seen a little bit more patient as some of the timing I've seen on the timing app. That's been he's been waiting a little bit when he can, just because he knows he has that gap.
Yeah, he's just absolutely disappearing now, right? Like I say, 35 seconds is kind of crazy in the time that we've had since the safety car, and it's kind of weird synergy. Oh, he makes me nervous every time into turn 7. Like he just absolutely on the limit every time it seems, but again seems to just about survive. I was going to say, like, interesting synergy between the leaders of the 3 classes, because as I said before the safety car, we saw all 3 classes having super close battles between first and second, within a second most of the time. Since the safety car, 20-second plus gaps for the leaders in all 3 classes. So kind of interesting how we've got those patterns kind of emerging between the different classes. And here is World of Sim Racing team not being on the stream a huge amount for the last half hour or so, because they're just off on their own, banging in the laps. Kind of last time by 2 seconds quicker than Mayor SimSpeed Performance, who are directly behind him, and only one other LMDH in the 116s that last time by. So really a cracking pace at the minute from Danny Fonte Pedro, who's going to have his driver change to make next time he makes his pit stop, and fires off another lap onto lap 74 now, and building up to a 22-second gap. Still looking like a tasty battle in LMDH for second, third, and fourth, by the way. Just 5 seconds between those 3 cars. And here's Kinetic Racing VSCA GT3 with Aidan Campbell at the front. And just behind him, we can see Mad Sim Racing into pit lane. Here I are on screen. So that's them making their scheduled stop a lap at least earlier. And let's see where they end up coming out once they've completed that.
Yeah, pit stops coming in, like you said, for the GTD class. There were a couple. There's a couple of incidents being reviewed right now, so we'll get you those updates between the 3, and with that Mayor Sim Speed Performance car was filed against him, and then the 86 in the LMP2 division. So we'll get you those when we get the information. But good battle here for that with Will Robinson. That's a really good run for, I believe that's 4th and 5th. That is the battle. Ooh, and around goes Robertson.
Kind of an interesting reaction there for the car on the inside to be the one that kind of got turned when it's the front of their car poking the rear of the outside car, and you normally expect a bit of a pit maneuver style effect on the car in front. So yeah, kind of unfortunate for Will, but I would say that perhaps he was the one that kind of stuck his nose in a little bit, so perhaps ended up the right way around as Mayor Simspeed into pit lane. And yeah, this is going to be for their schedule stop, like I say, with a potential penalty under review for them. Albrecht Motorsports as well, car number 96 into pit lane as well. Like I say, they had a tough stint really on that one, so let's see if they can pick the pace back up again and get into a little bit more rhythm. But yeah, we can see cars of all 3 classes coming through pit lane at the minute, so yeah, lots of changes coming up.
Looks like we just got the penalty. The number 86 GSE team has a drive-through penalty for a full course yellow pit lane violation.
Yes, that's unfortunate for them. They were making good progress through the field and have been closing gradually on Fisher Motorsport in front. They were 4 or 5 seconds back last time we looked, and now you can see that they're sort of 3 seconds or so. So that is going to really interrupt that progress, and yeah, they're going to fall back to, well, probably outside of the top 5 at least from the looks of it. But yeah, we'll see if they serve that straight away, or if they are going to perhaps go down the appeal process for a little while first before they try and serve. And we see Mayor Simsport in the timing tower came back out of pit lane, so they're back into 5th after making their scheduled stop. And yeah, GSE for now have indeed continued round.
Speaking of violations, the Mayor Simspeed Performance team was just given a drive-through penalty for an unsafe rejoin. So, man, that's a killer for them, because they were, they're battling really hard and having a good run, but just a unfortunate circumstance for them. But that was the penalty for them.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, I wonder if that was one of the 2, kind of rejoins that we saw where they had to take trips through the grass. I have to say, if it was one of those 2, I didn't particularly see an immediate issue with one of their rejoins, but maybe we missed it. But I feel like more likely it must have been a different event that we didn't have on camera. Right, leaders of LMDH and leaders of LMP2 both in pit lane together. And yeah, things go from bad to worse for number 3 there, as they have another little trip through the grass after receiving that bad news for the penalty. Number 13 getting a stop and hold 60-second penalty for a pit lane safety car violation as well. Number 13, that's yeah, 4th position in LMP2 Vision 1 Motorsports. So yeah, tough deal for them as well. It's going to put them way down the field with the 60-second penalty, and here they come straight into pit lane as well. So yeah, all kind of happening at the minute. Like I say, lots of pit stops for LMDH and LMP2 at the same sort of time. Fisher Motorsport Dallara at the minute for LMP2 continuing off ahead, and a spin for Firestorm Motorsport 29 eventually manages to get back going again. And yeah, looks like no particularly obvious damage. Let's see what kind of incident that they had. Lots of traffic all around them. And just rear-ended by the LMP2 straight away. So just unfortunate misjudgment there. And didn't look like a Firestorm car braked early at all. And yeah, Nick Gowan, I feel like I'm going to see you come up on our list in race control as well, unfortunately. So penalty incoming, I feel like, for them. But yeah, at least Firestorm managed to continue on, and they're still in 6th place. Didn't lose too many positions. Maybe 10, 12 seconds or so to make back up to kind of get back to where they were again.
Yeah, it's always good to have this green flag racing. Green flag racing is my favorite. Always going around the track as fast as you can. But we just had a penalty come in to the number 13 LMP2 car. A full course yellow pit lane violation. Stop and hold for 60 seconds. So we'll have to another penalty. We're bringing you the updates when we get them. Thanks everybody for tuning in. So The race control is doing a good job at letting us know when a penalty happens. So there's your LMDH cars, number 12, Delta Racing. We'll see where they come out in the pits, because the JO Motorsports car is currently, or when the JO Motorsports car comes out of the pits, they're coming out right now. So it'll be really tight.
Yeah, still waiting there in pit lane. So yes, that looks pretty clear now for Delta Racing. A bit less clear for VRG Sport as they take a little trip through the grass in the LMP2 class as well. So yeah, so interesting thing for JO Motorsport, right? Because yeah, that is a pit stop, so, which means they're still going to have their drive-through penalty to do as well. So it's yeah, can't do both from the same one. And Jonathan Oshalim takes over now for the 99, and yeah, third position for the moment. Is this Mayer coming through on the right hand side? It is. So yeah, down to fourth for JO now. There's Mayer SimSpeed into third with yeah, Carl Burney still at the helm.
So yeah, Kyle Burney doing a really good job just trying to recoup from the incident. So 30 seconds back from the Delta Racing cars. So almost 40 minutes to go left in the session, Lee. So now this 2 hour and 40-minute race has now become more of a sprint race. I mean, it already was a sprint race, but this is the real sprint. This is what a lot of these drivers are used to if they run the official series. So we'll have to see. So what goes on. So a really good battle here. That JL Motorsports car trying to catch up that Mayer SimSpeed car. So as you can take a look on the right side of the screen, it has the track map, and it is full.
Yeah, everyone pretty kind of evenly spread through the track at the minute. Like I say, not really any space out there at all. And yeah, Mayer SimSpeed has got a little bit of space in front of him for the moment. A couple of GTDs we can see there coming up to them as they approach turn 1. And yeah, like I say, we shall see what develops in that battle for third position. World Sim Racing team still looking pretty comfortable, 20 seconds down the road, with Delta Racing GTP still to make their stop. But yeah, Jonathan Oshalim here seeming like he's getting straight up to speed in that JO Motorsports car, and yeah, going to be keeping Mayer SimSpeed honest for the next little while from looks of it.
Yeah, definitely keeping them honest there. A lot of flashing of the lights. Here comes the JO Motorsports car. You got to be very cautious with that curb, because we've seen we've seen a GTD car go off the curb and spun around and got hit by the LMP2. So you just got to be very cautious when you're making those passes that now your car's going to handle, because the curves are different here at Indy. As you can see, these ones are a little flat, and then some of them are more turtles. So you got to be cautious on which ones you're going to hit and which ones you don't want to hit. So, but really good run for this JO Motorsports car. They're trying to catch up to that Mayer SimSpeed performance car. Give about 10 more minutes. I'll take a look at the standings and see if we can give our viewers a little eye on what's going on once the pit cycle kind of runs through.
Yep, sounds like a plan. And ahead of the LMP2 field at the minute, Fisher Motorsport Dallara dive into pit lane. So yeah, they're making their scheduled stop as well. And yeah, that should move then Yellow Submarine Squad back into the lead anytime soon. And there they are, and we can see it. So they've had a change of driver now as well, of course. So Bjorn Claessens is now at the helm, and yeah, let's see if he can have a little bit of a calmer stint, maybe. I mean, save unfortunately I've forgotten the guy's name, Soto or something similar, wasn't it? Yeah, super fast. Look at the great job he did of building that lead. But yeah, lots of scary moments out there. So let's see how Bjorn can manage the pace and the risk level with them in such a strong position, of course. And yeah, here he comes out the final corner onto pit straight. Yeah, Fisher Motorsport Dallara, as expected, still, of course, in pit lane. So that's Yellow Submarine Squad taking back the lead again, and they've got a 16-second gap or so at the minute over Sapphire SimSport Delta, who will be in that second position.
So yeah, the gap kind of shrunk a little bit for that LMP2 class, and so we'll see what happens. Different driver. Ooh my, that was a nice little move by that LMDH car to get through traffic. I mean, there was one way through and he took the only way. So really good move by them. There's your leader of the GTD class, that full send racing car. Put on a good run. The gap's 1.3 seconds back to second place as the LMDH and the LMP2 cars go around them. So it's in a good spot for that full send racing in that BMW.
Yeah, it definitely is. I wonder if we'll see how ends up. I wonder if Full Send are a little bit out of sequence or not, because Kinetic Racing were, pretty comfortably leading GTD, of course, earlier on, as JO Motorsports just about bails out of that move on Maya. So yeah, the JO have pulled that couple of seconds since we last were viewing, and so yeah, super tough race now for Maya Simpson Performance, trying to hang on to that third position over this last phase of this race. JO Motorsport, I thought, just outbraking themselves a little bit there, but managed to gather it back up, avoid contact, and make the corner and not lose too much time.
JO Motorsports, they need the spot because they're,
Ooh, straight on him.
Oh, there he goes. Well, I mean, they don't necessarily need the spot, but with the champion team behind them, it's always good to have another spot for the points. But yeah, what a battle here going into one. Kind of set the pick a little bit.
But the GTD didn't want
car,
any of it. No.
He's like, get me out of here. And he goes back onto the track. So cut a little grass, went to the kitty litter a little bit, but still going. There's that Mayor SimSpeed Performance car running really strong up into that third spot, trying to defend over that JO Motorsports. That the 99 car doesn't really need to get around them. I mean, they are ahead of the points for the Sprint Cup Championship over the car behind him in that 79 car. So, I mean, he's trying to stay in front of the 79 cars, their goal. So, good run by them. Around goes Goin in that the Goin Racing number 18.
Yeah, having a bit of a tough run of it over the last sort of 40 minutes, half hour or so. So 3-4 instance now, I think that is, for Going Racing, just gradually falling down the field, down into 7th at the minute, and about to be under pressure for that position from Hack Lumps Racing, and Richard Frank there trying to take advantage as soon as he possibly can. But yeah, a little bit of a tough run for Going, but yeah, again, they were really at the sharp end for a good chunk of the race early on, top 3 sort of area. So yeah, unfortunately for him. Just having a quick think about Albrecht Motorsports as well. They're still in that 6th position. Well, they go Ranku just moving up into 5th because of a pit stop from VRG Sports. It looks like maybe they've got their pace sorted just a little bit more now in this phase. And yeah, they got opportunity maybe to try and start challenging some positions ahead. Straight back to this LMDH battle as JO and Maya SimSpeed go at it again. Contact between the two of them through turn 7, and eventually Maya SimSpeed just about back out the corner, only after, I think, a second lump of contact, and much different at apex speed there between the two cars as well. For the moment, JO Motorsports out on top. Let's see if there's anything that Carl Burney here for Maya SimSpeed can do anything about it.
You got to be cautious if you're the JO Motorsports car, because if you get some contact and go around, you're going to lose the point championship.
Wow, so yeah, so he's moved straight back for Maya SimSpeed there, really kind of opportunistic. I think JO maybe wasn't expecting to come back on him immediately. Let's see if he returns a favour into turn 1, closing ever so slightly. Is it going to be enough on the brakes? No, we brake much earlier. And we've got a big train of cars in front of us. Look, we can see just down the road. So this is going to get interesting over the next half lap or so as these two wobble it out.
Yeah, they've been battling really hard, and so are the two cars behind them. Grizzly Motorsports took over the 5th spot, so it was really good for him. Big run by JO Motorsports' Jonathan here. He's gonna. I don't think you make the move here with all this GTD cars going through.
I think he's gonna.
He might.
Think about it. No, it thinks more sensibly. Oh, we make that dive on a GTV. God, and super lucky there for Maya. GTD completely bailed out of the corner. He saw him sailing in, locking up the brakes as well. So that easily could have been a big instance for Maya SimSpeed. Good job, GTD, and the battle can continue from the back.
Yeah, he saw the one car coming in, and maybe the second one was going to go. So just good driving all the way around. I mean, wasn't the most perfect way to get around the the other cars, but it happened and it worked fine. So, but that's going to move up the Grizzly Motorsports car a little bit closer to them. So we'll see if they're going to be able to make up some move. They go 3 wide through the yard of bricks and makes a good move past the LMP2 car. So really good pass by that Grizzly Motorsports car.
Yeah, and they got a little bit of breathing space for a moment to try and make that time up on the third, fourth position battles just ahead. Delta Racing GTP still not taken to pit lane as of yet in the lead of LMDH. So that's putting Watterson Racing Team off of their top perch for the time being. They've been leading pretty much the whole event, and here are Delta Racing GTP off strategy a little bit, 12.5 seconds down the road. What sort of lap time comparison we got? I mean, last time by Delta Racing GTP were a little bit quicker than Watterson Racing Team as well. Let's see what Watterson Racing can do this time by. So only car into the 17s on the current lap for Delta Racing, and Watterson Racing couldn't quite manage that this time by an 18 flat. So another half second gained on this lap as well. So good pace from Delta Racing GTP. We'll just have to wait and see what's going on with their pit strategy, and presumably they've still got another stop to make, whereas Watterson Racing Team don't.
Yeah, last pit stop for that Delta Racing Team was on lap 46, but around goes Ryad, and that's that Sapphire SimSport car. Just a tough spot to go off track at, but they were sitting in the 7th spot. They were already a lap down, so they didn't lose a spot, but still unfortunate circumstance for them.
Yeah, I think plenty of cars here have been glad of the grass runoff that we've got here at the road version of Indianapolis. They were plenty of times where another circuit, another layout, and they would have been into a wall and much more challenging for the race. But fortunately, opportunity for lots of cars to continue on. And looks like Hacklamp Racing did get Gowan Racing made that move at some point as well after that little spin from Gowan. So good job to them, moving up into 6th position. And they got sort of a fair gap to the next LMP2 in front of them, sort of 13-12 seconds or so to make up. They want to try and break into the top 5 positions.
Yeah, he comes into the pits. So that Sapphire SimSport car, the 39. Remember, if I remember right, Lee, that was a car that didn't come down on pit road. So
yes,
on the full course yellow. But back up to the lead for the GTD class. It's 0.3 of a second between first, second, and well, heck, you want to put third in the equation. So really good battling for the top 3 there for class, trying to get on another spot up in the podium. Vincent Leherbier, very talented sim racer. I've known him for raced against him many years ago, so it's good to see him back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, and looking to make the move as we head into turn 1, switches to the outside. Looks like he's perhaps going to choose to be patient for the moment. Looks to get a little bit of a cutback, but kind of gets blocked on the apex by Full Send Racing. So no opportunity there, but gets a good drive off the next corner. But already Mad Sim Racing, we can see in the rearview mirror as well, right underneath the gearbox. So the top 3 cars now absolutely separated by not any space at all. Delta Racing GTP for LMDH do now make that pit stop, so that means Watterson Racing Team back to the top spot as anticipated. No opportunity here into turn 7, not quite close enough for Kinetic Racing this time by. And a little bit of curb worked out fine for Herbier there, so not the violent reaction we saw from the GTD earlier on. And so I'm still wondering whether when did Full Send Racing make their last pit stop compared to Kinetic Racing? Let's have a quick look.
Looks like Full Send Racing car went in on lap
37, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So Full Send Racing definitely have got one more stop to make over the Kinetic then. So Kinetic are our de facto leader. What about Mad Sim Racing as well? Mad Sim Racing though, are in that position alongside with Kinetic. So Kinetic definitely got a race in their hand, but they want to clear Full Send Racing as soon as they can. That's not where their battle really is. They want to try and be able to get some clean laps in and not allow Mad Sim Racing directly behind them an opportunity of a move. And here it comes. Oh, it makes that little dive up the inside. Opportunistic move. A little bit of rubbing between the two of them. Doesn't quite pull it off that time by. So still Kinetic in second. But now under big pressure from Madsen Racing. So just as we said, they needed to clear full send so they weren't under pressure from behind. And that has not worked out at all. LMP2 car trying to get by at the same time. And a GTD back marker getting involved a little bit also. And all of a sudden, Madsen Racing are challenging for the lead in GTD after making that move on Kinetic just a moment ago. So yeah, they're the ones looking to progress forward. Miss of the apex for Full Send Racing there that allows Madsen Racing to move up the inside. They've got the pace and the overlap is complete. It looks like Madsen Racing should have this covered. A Full Send going to try and nip through as well, not this time. But again, Full Send miss the apex. And so that's allowed Kinetic Racing clean through and now into pits. The Full Send. So it looks like that was one lap too many. I think that Avery, they had two big moments where they kind of missed the corner completely, lost a handful of time in a position, and now into pit lane.
Yeah, I think you're right, Lee. I think maybe coming into pit stop before, or the lap before, but they're going to come in with 30 minutes to go. They got to run for the sprint. I think they're probably banking on a full course yellow, but so they're back out on the track. We do have a couple of penalties coming in. The 66 car looks like the VRG Sport will wait just a moment for when the race control refreshes, give some more information. But really good battle here. Take a look at Going car. Had a little bit of a struggle earlier, but still maintained the 7th position. So.
Yeah, under lots of pressure now from Delta Sport 198, who now with Peter J. Hutchings at the helm are trying to move up from that 8th position. I mean, really, Delta Sport 198 should be, at the very front of this race based on the pace that we saw Lawrence have earlier on. But yeah, tricky race for them. And let's see if Hutchings now in the last 30 minutes can start to chip away at any other positions. I mean, they've certainly got a potential to move up into 6th at the very least. And we'll see if they can do any more from there. But yeah, Nick Gowan doing well at the head of that car to hold his position for now, as you said.
Yeah, violation for the 155 and the 66. They got a drive-through penalty, but they're already so far back that they're just going to take the penalty and try to move back on. But yeah, Going, like you're saying, put on a really good run with Hutchins right behind him.
Yeah, and Hutchins just struggling with the GTD traffic there, almost trying to drive off the track practically initially to force his way up the inside. And has lost a bucket load of time to Gowan through that sequence there. But again, it will continue to ebb and flow as they work their way through the traffic. In the GTD class, Madsen Racing is just pulling a little bit of a gap now from Kinetic Racing now that they got that move done. So just breaking the 2nd mark. Let's see if they can continue that or not. And and Joe Motorsports haven't been able to hang on to the back of Mayer Simspeed. So 3-second gap or so now in the LMDH P2, P3 battle.
So let's go through the points a little bit. The LMDH is the JO Motorsports car. They're, 3 spots ahead of the 79 of the Champion Motorsports. So off track goes the JO Motorsports car as I start speaking about them. You can't do that. So yeah, they're going to get back on the track, but they have the Sprint Cup Championship, pretty much in hand right now, as long as they keep it on the track for the rest of the race. And then your LMP2 class, you have remember that Trading Paints car was involved in an incident, and then they have the Albrecht Motorsports car in 96. So as long as that Albrecht car kind of keeps it on track, Lee, they should be okay. The GTD class, it's got that Champion Motorsports number 78. They're sitting in 4th. The Screeching Moose Motorsports car, that's the number 5. They are a little bit further back. They're actually, they're sitting in 6th in class. So, hard goes in the walls, the prototype. So, I mean, there's still, a chance for the GTD cars to have a good points battle, and same with the LMDH car. Words are hard sometimes, Lee, but so the points are still there. They're not as tight as some of the other cars like to be, but if you're that JO Motorsports car, you're going to like it. The Torque Freak car back out on the track, though.
Yeah, making a move as well, and a little bit of a wobble there for the Trading Paints car. So, yeah, like I say, Jonathan Dance at the head of the Torque Freak car, trying to chip away and make up some remaining position, gain a few points here and there. But again, they were looking good earlier on in the race. A couple of incidents just pushed them back down the field, unfortunately. But yeah, good to see them continuing running. I mean, like you've been saying, Avery, basically every... Oh, GTD in the middle of a road reversing as cars trying to get by. Let's not do that, chaps. That is Kinetic. I was going to say, someone at the front, right? That's a livery we've been watching in GTDs. So that was Kinetic Racing from second position, who are just a whisper behind Mad, dropping down the order. Let's see what it's going to be. It's not from Mad Racing ahead of him because they're not in sight. They're going to get tagged by this LMP car behind. No, the GTD. So kind of a bit of a weird one there. Shame that we're reversing here, by the way. There we go. Another contact for the Lambo. Bit of a weird one because it didn't really look like the BMW behind outbraked themselves, like they were making the corner fine, right? So I think with the LMP2 car having just come past, I think unfortunately it seemed the Kinetic car perhaps just braked a little bit earlier than anticipated, and that's all it took. But yeah, like disaster for them. Like Kinetic had been out the front for such a long period of the race, all of a sudden now down into 5th position, 20 seconds off the lead. Like that is, barring the safety car working out for them again, that's really kind of scuppered their race. And yeah, let's see. I mean, they've got 5 seconds to 3rd place. Let's see if they can get the pace there, claw that time back, and at least get back on the podium again.
Yeah, just unfortunate circumstance for him there. LMP2 car's got a couple penalties that might be happening, filed by some of the drivers. The one that really is going to make the difference is the 531, the Yellow Submarine. Someone sent in a request for them for repeated car contacts, so the Yellow Submarine has fallen down to 2nd place.
Yeah, really interesting. So what's happened? Let's have a look at pit stop, pit times, or pit laps rather, for those two, for Sapphire and for Yellow Submarine. So yeah, so Sapphire are a bit out of sequence. So they pitted lap 63, Yellow Submarine pitted lap 73, and that's pretty much what the rest of the LMP2 cars have sort of done, somewhere in the 70s. So yeah, Sapphire definitely out of sequence, presumably that's going to mean, I mean, that was what, 30 odd laps ago, so I mean, they're going to make another pit stop, I guess, right, over Yellow Submarine, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, the Yellow Submarine had such a comfortable lead earlier on, 30 plus seconds, and yeah, they're going to need Sapphire to have that additional pit stop to get that lead back again. But then they've only got, it's interesting because they've only got a 13-second lead behind over Fisher, so yeah, like that 30-second plus lead, no matter what, is kind of really disappeared a lot. So let's see how the next sort of 20 minutes of the race play out. But yeah, really interesting to see all the strategies kind of converging now. Avery, we go through the race going, such and such a car is miles in front, and maybe the whole time there was a car off strategy that we didn't quite pick up on. So let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, that Yellow Submarine car was a couple seconds slower this last lap. We'll see what they end up running. I mean, every team's got a faster driver and a slower driver, so I mean, you never know who you're going to be running up against. But really good run by Bjorn. Just maintain that 2nd spot. Has a good gap to 3rd in that Fisher Motorsports car. So coming through the yard of bricks. And pretty much identically the same time. So maybe a little bit off the pace of this, faster team's driver, but still running a pace that you can still get the win with almost 20 minutes left to go.
Yeah, just struggling a little bit into turn 1 that time, kind of outbraked himself a touch, missed the apex, but managed to gather it back up and hopefully not lose too much more time. But yeah, let's have a little look on board for a moment as catching up with the GTD and a lapped LMP2 car just in front as we come into this turn 7's really been the focus point for the day, Avery, right? It's where we've been seeing the moves being made. It's where we've seen people mistakes and taking the trip off into the grass to cut across up to turn 9 where we are now. And yeah, it really has been an area that the guys have been struggling with overall. But this is looking pretty clean and tidy from Broncassen so far. And how are we looking on the track map? He's got maybe sort of 4 or 5 cars ahead of him, and then a nice little bit of breathing space after that. So hopefully an opportunity to just keep hitting that rhythm and get some clean laps in as we dispatch another GTD car.
Yeah, especially been putting on a good run. That yellow submarine gaps 10 seconds, 11 seconds back to the Fisher Motorsports car. So we'll see if Thomas Martin is able to run him down. Tom's put on a really good effort. He's driving super hard, trying to catch up. But Bjorn is just smooth and steady.
Yeah,
Keep it on the track, and that's all you gotta do. I mean, if you keep it on the track, maintain a decent-ish pace, you should be okay.
Yeah, and I mean, steady maybe is the word, right? Because I mean, you identified correctly a moment ago that he was like a couple of seconds off Sapphire the lap before. That lap that we're watching, another 3.5 seconds slower than Sapphire. So, if there keeps being that differential in lap time between Sapphire and Yellow Submarine, then it's eventually not going to matter whether Sapphire needs to make a pit stop or not. So we'll see how that kind of continues. But here comes Sapphire into pits right now. Okay, so that's going to comfortably put Yellow Submarine back in front. But Yellow Submarine are struggling with pace at the minute. I would say Fisher behind again, about 3 seconds quicker that last lap as well. Yellow Submarine didn't have a ton of traffic either when we were on board with them that time by. So it's definitely going to be a section of a race for us to keep an eye on and see how that develops. So here they are taking that spot from Sapphire in pit lane, and Fisher Motorsport 10 seconds further back. So that's the gap to keep an eye on for now. And what about this lap since we did it? So Fisher Motorsport had a slower lap as well, but still Klassen still in 22s, which really not the rest of the LMP2s just sort of aren't. So it's still another best part of the second game by Fisher, even though they had a slower lap themselves. Albrecht Motorsports up into third, so good sort of recovery from them. They were sort of sitting in sort of sixth for a while after they had the struggles after the safety car. Good to see them back up in the podium spots, and they've got a 10-second gap or so behind before Sapphire, as we're watching here, and Hack Clumps, who came up just behind.
Yeah, and that Albrecht car, they need to just keep the car clean, like we said before, with that Trading Paints car wrecking out of the race. So if they keep the car clean, they should win the Sprint Cup portion of the championship. He's been on our screen a lot. Here's some good side-by-side going into one.
Yeah, and Delta Sport not quite managing to hold that position around the outside, having to eventually tuck back in again. And good defense still from Gowan, exactly as you've been saying. Joe Motorsport's going off track again at turn 7 again. I can see the red icon flagging up, and that's the fourth time through that section of grass for Joe Motorsports. They are not liking that corner, and that's cost them a position this time. So Grizzly Motorsport 7 we see nipping through up into that podium spot in LMDH. I mean, Joe Motorsport really should be second, or at least battling for second still with Mayer. And unfortunately just having these few instants, and now looking like they're going to struggle for the podium and into pit lane as well for Joe Motorsports. So maybe they've decided let's end that stint, let's start afresh and see what we can get done in these closing moments of the race. Is this going to be their drive-through penalty for a while ago that they didn't serve? It might be. Let's see if he actually stops at the pit box or not. Yeah, not looking like he has any particular intention to move out of the fast lane, and right as I say it, he drifts in. So he is going to be making a schedule stop. They must have already taken their drive-through penalty then. So with just under 20 minutes remaining, another little splash and dash for Joe Motorsports, and that's dropping them down into 5th position for the moment.
I think they'll be okay, Lee, with that pit stop, because they can finish a position or two behind that Champion Motorsports team in that 79. So. Oh, off goes Fisher.
Yeah, just about recovered for Thomas Fisher there for CMS. Nick Gowan finally has to relinquish that spot to Delta Sport after going off track, and World Sim Racing team for LMDH in pit lane as well. There they are on screen. So this is kickoff time again for LMDH, is all starting to tick into pit lane, and we shall see how that all shapes up. I'm still just keeping an eye on this gap in LMP2 as well as Fisher straight back in the action again after we saw him going off a moment ago. Little tag to the side on Joe Motorsports as well. So down to 6 still for Joe Motorsports. LMP2 gap, sorry, I was going to say, yeah, because that gap is still falling. Down under 5 seconds now, and it was 10 seconds when we last glanced at it. So, yeah, Yellow Submarine in trouble. Fisher Motorsport Dallara are going to be taking over this lead anytime soon, it looks like. What lap time has Sapphire done as well? Sapphire is straight back into the 19, so yeah, they're kind of quickest car on track at the minute, in 4th position by quite a chunk.
Yeah, they're faster by quite a chunk, but they also got quite a chunk to get back up there. So,
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, 20-second gap for Sapphire over Yellow Submarine with 15 minutes left, minute 15 lap time, but yeah, I mean, they're 2 seconds quicker than anyone else that last time by, so they might get there and thereabouts, if not quite to the front.
Yeah, they're just, if you're Bjorn right here in the Yellow Submarine, you just try to just keep it on the track and, you know, just try to get the best time you can. I mean, yeah, that Fisher car is coming, but you can only really control what you can control. So.
Yeah, and it was a better lap from Bjorn that time. So, like I said, yeah, he did control it that time. He matched the lap time of Fisher behind. So, if he can continue to do that for a bit longer, then he should have the comfort of it. You know, we'll see. But yeah, there's Thomas Martin for Fisher Motorsport Dallara with a LMDH just to give them a little bit of a tow maybe as they come out onto the bank.
Yeah, once this Yellow Submarine car in the 531 gets by a couple of the GTD cars, they should have a pretty clean track. So there's a good battle here between 2 GTDs and the prototype going around them. So they got to have clean tracks. So
the World of Sim Racing team LMDH is still in pit lane, Avery. So this has been a long time, right? Like this doesn't feel great. They've been, again, like at the top and looking very, very strong for so long. And they're a lap down. Yeah, no, this is, yeah, they're done. They've had an incident. So they must be taking repairs or something. So, yeah, what has happened to World of Sim Racing? They were looking like they were under control once Sapphire SimSport had their issue earlier on. And now back of LMDH field. Right, let's see if we can see what the issue was. Is it going to be contact with this Lambo just in front of us? So on the brakes, and no, it's a spinning car in front, nowhere to go. Not a huge amount, it wasn't the biggest hit in the world, Avery. I was expecting much worse. But yeah, contact at the front with the LMP2 just kind of stuck in the middle of the road. But you can see already he's struggling, the GTD car straight past him. So yeah, somehow that, you know, reasonably innocuous impact, didn't look crazy heavy, has just completely destroyed suspension. Yeah, look at the steering angle. He's trying to go down straight, race over for the World of Sim Racing team. Wow.
yeah, just a unfortunate spot there for him. I mean, just things happen, and you just gotta come in and get the car fixed.
So yeah, so all of a sudden, Mayor SimSpeed Performance up into the first position for the LMDH class, looking like they've got this well and truly under control for the minute. 12.5 second gap to Grizzly Motorsport 7. I mean, Grizzly Motorsport 7 in second as well. Again, they were running sort of, 4th, 5th, 6th generally through the majority of this race. So they've, you know, really now racking up the points to help secure their position at the top of the LMDH standings. And then we've got, yeah, Delta Racing GTP currently in third. So all change here in LMDH. If we switch to LMP2, less than a second between the lead battle now between Yellow Submarine and Fisher Motorsport Dallara. There they are. There's Fisher Motorsport Dallara immediately behind. And yeah, Bjorn Claessens for Yellow Submarine is in trouble. Sapphire SimSport in 4th position have taken 5 seconds out of the lead since we looked as well. So they are still coming, but it's, you know, they're running out of time now. 10 minutes left practically, and they've got Albrecht Motorsports if they to get through if they want to get on the podium.
Yeah, good battle here on board with Martin here in that Fisher Motorsports car. About a half a second quicker this lap last time around. But it's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him. I mean, I know the pace is quite a bit different, but you still got to pass him. They're going to go around the GTD cars with the wipers going. It's not raining yet.
Yeah, shaping up for a move into turn 1, got the overspeed. A little bit cautious on the brakes, but Bjorn's even more cautious, kind of surprises Thomas, I feel like. I think Thomas was planning just to sit behind and ended up kind of not having much of a choice. So that's it through. Fisher Motorsport Dallara up into P1, Yellow Submarine squad down into second. Kind of next question, honestly, is can they hold on to that second position? They got a 10-second gap to Albrecht Motorsports behind, and 2 seconds a lap gap last time, difference between the two last time by, so that could be a little bit tricky as well. Sapphire we see on the timing screen, on the timing tower, straight past Albrecht. There we go. So Sapphire Simsport are up into the podium. Yeah, I think they could be getting close to Fisher even by the end of the race, but they're just going to run out of laps, it seems like, unless there's an issue up ahead. Yeah, 12 seconds and 10 minutes is maybe enough for the Yellow Submarine squad, but I think not quite enough for P1 and Fisher Motorsport Dallara. So yeah, all change both in LMDH and LMP2.
Yeah, good job by that Fisher Motorsports car to get back up into the get to the lead. But look at this Albrecht Motorsports car, that number 96, just doing a really good job trying to catch up to that Sapphire number 38 car. The LMP2 class very tight for the final spot on the podium. But their points championship for the Sprint Cup is pretty much set. They should take home the win when they come to the finish line. Here's the battle for the GTD class. This is for a good spot on the podium here with that Grizzly Motorsports number 9 car. Remember, they were towards the bottom of the timing and scoring tower, but move up to third. Just a little defensive driving for that Fisher Motorsports number 84. Side by side into one. We'll see if they're going to make an overtake here.
Yeah, nothing doing quite this time, but like you say, good opportunity to be moving up anytime soon. And CMS Racing are only a second behind this battle as well. There they are in the background in the BMW. So yeah, all to play for still for second position in GTD. Trading Racing Black just recovering back onto the circuit, and here comes Grizzly Motorsports, and they got the run on Fisher, got the inside line for turn 7 as well. Let's see if they can get the braking done. Fisher super deep and late into the brakes. Great job on the brakes. Can they keep it on the track? They can. Is Grizzly going to get the run through the corner? I thought it was going to go for the cutback a bit more, but not really. And then Fisher, yeah, getting kind of hung out to dry a little bit mid-corner there. And Grizzly Motorsports should get the drive off the corner now and be clear. So yeah, kind of well attempted from Fisher Motorsport there to try and hang on to that position, but in the end, yeah, nothing really doing. LMP2, Sapphire Simsport Delta have had an issue and have now dropped back behind Albrecht Motorsports and have lost 5 seconds or so. So that is their attempt for the second position or better done for Sapphire Simsport. Yeah, 18 seconds back now, and let's see if Albrecht now are going to hold on to that third position or not, or if Sapphire is going to pressure them again, or if Albrecht continues to struggle on the brakes like that, they're gonna have issue. And yeah, I saw the off-track red mark on the timing tower for Sapphire. They had a trip through the grass as well. What is going on all of a sudden with Sapphire? Have they got damage from a contact just off screen? I can't see anything massively obvious on the car immediately, but all of a sudden, yeah, instance galore, struggling with pace a little bit perhaps, and yeah, at least one trip through the grass. So yes, that's Sapphire's charge through the field over, and Yellow Submarine now in second. Just keep it tidy for these last sort of 7 minutes, and they should be getting that second position on the podium.
Yeah, good job by Bjorn and that Yellow Submarine to, yeah, he's a little bit off the pace, but still sitting in the podium position. That's always a goal to get on that podium. But get that LMDH behind him. That's that Grizzly Motorsports number 7. Worked all the way up to the second place. Started towards the back of the pack in the LMDH class, but like I said in the beginning, you got to stay alive, and that's something they've been doing. So up into second, good run for them.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, kept their nose clean all the way through the race, it seems like, and yeah, only going to be finishing 10 seconds off the lead or so. So yeah, cracking job from them and from Joshua Wolf in this final stint as well. So main battle at the minute still looks to be in GTD for this second and third position on the podium, as we can see. Yeah, CMS Endurance and Fisher Motorsports side by side. CMS, oh, big collision in front. Huge incident with those couple of LMDHs. Are these GTDs going to get through as well? But yeah, big incident. So one of those was Sapphire Simsport Echo, who was kind of at the back of the grid after their penalty earlier on. Their pit stop out of sequence, putting them a lap down. Let's have a look and see what happened between them and the other LMDH. Just complete misjudgment, shoved into the wall. They must have thought they were clear and just they were nowhere near clear. I'm guessing it was JO Motorsports, that was the other car. And that's both their races kind of over 5 minutes from the end of a 2 hour 40-minute race. 5th and 6th in class, looks like they're both set for. So yeah, really unfortunate there, but kind of lucky that it didn't collect more cars then just at the end as we saw them coming in. Just a last final bit of craziness, Avery, to wrap up the race.
Yeah, that was some craziness. One bobbed and the other one weaved, and at the end of the day, the races are done. But here comes the LMP2 car, Peter Hutchins, coming down at pit road. I don't see anything for a penalty for him, but maybe not enough fuel. I don't know. I think that'd be the only reason why he'd come down. But back up to that yellow submarine, though. I mean, put on a really good job. There's the driver in third of the Albrecht Motorsports car trying to catch back up, but I think time's going to run out to get up into second, but still finishing up on the podium. With the sprint championship is also very good for them. So really good run by that Albrecht team.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I felt like they were falling back through the order a little bit earlier on, but with their own driving, keeping their nose clean, and a couple of incidents elsewhere for other people. Yeah, great job for them to be in this third position. Doesn't look like Sapphire Simsport behind us immediately kind of leapt back up to them, so still sort of 3.5 seconds back or so. So Albrecht looks like they can have a decent chance of holding on to that podium position still. I kind of feel like incidents pending. Pretty much now we're looking fairly settled through the field. Like I say, is keeping a little bit of an eye on that GTD battle, but Grizzly Motorsport have now got a 4-second buffer over Fisher Motorsport, who've got a 2-second buffer over CMS Racing. So that podium is looking more settled now. But at the front, Mayer Simsbury Performance, great job through this later phase of the race, especially 13-second gap now over Grizzly Motorsport 7, and just a couple of laps remaining for them to take the checkered flag. And Fisher Motorsport meanwhile gradually pulling away from Yellow Submarine, so building that gap a little bit. Albrecht into pit lane, Avery, that has completely scuppered their chances for a podium. Then Sapphire Simsport Delta into third position, and Albrecht are going to be absolutely nowhere in LMP2.
Yeah, I think.
Not so good for their points now.
No, I still think they're okay for in the point standings, because that Champion Motorsport, not Champion Motorsport, sorry, the Trading Paints team, the number 19, if you remember right, they wrecked earlier in the race, so they're already out of the race. So they're going to be fine on the points for the Sprint Cup Championship, but the Sports Car Championship is the overall between here and the Endurance. So I think they'll be all right for the Sprint Cup portion of the points, but still dropping back down to the 6th place. I think they'll fall back into 6th, looks like.
Yeah, so just a super quick splash and dash as expected. Another trip through that turn 7 grass. That corner doesn't need mowing anytime soon after today's race. And Nick Gowen recovering in 8th position, just a few seconds behind VRG Sports now. Who are we looking at next? And Yellow Submarine Squad into pit lane. All of a sudden, with minutes remaining, all these unexpected pit stops where they've not quite made it on fuel. Avery, Sapphire Simsport bang up into second. Hat Clumps Racing about to go up into second as well. Let's see if with sort of 1 lap to go pretty much now. Let's see if there's any other little surprises with pit lanes. But really unfortunate for Yellow Submarine Squad. I mean, I don't think that was really expected, like fuel-wise. Like I thought when we looked before, we felt like they had pitted, at a similar time to those around them, and they were like 77, I feel like I think I remember, and that's kind of similar to the peak cars around him. So yeah, pretty surprising. This isn't a splash and dash. He's just sat there on the jacks. So what is going on with Yellow Submarine Squad?
Yeah, I think maybe with some of the surprise pit stops, was, they just didn't fill it up with as much as they need. But he's been sitting there a lot longer than the splash and go. So,
oh no, nothing. I was about to say about a penalty, but no, that was judged no further action. So it's not from a penalty that I can see. So yeah, really unfortunate for them after looking so dominant in the first portion of the race with the previous driver, and then Bjorn kind of doing a good job at hanging on, and we're looking like that second position. Yeah, just missing out there on on that strong result from them. So yeah, Sapphire in second, Hack Lumps in third. So we're on the final lap. White flag for the LMDH is halfway around the lap as a little trip through the grass again for CMS Racing in the LMDH class. And immediately in front, I was just going to say, is I can see on the tracker, immediately in front is our race leader. So yeah, so they're a lap down with the CMS. Here's Mayor SimSpeed Performance and Carl Burney at the helm. And what a cracking job through this race for them. As Sapphire SimSport spinning from second. What is going on, Avery? Everything looks secure and it falls apart. We'll keep an eye on where they end up. They might struggle for the podium. We'll see. But there's Mayor SimSpeed Performance and taking the win in the Virtual Sports Car Challenge here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So congratulations to them in the LMDH class. The next class, well, basically the LMP2 winner and the GTD winner are going to come over the line at the same time. So we'll switch to one of those momentarily. But yeah, here is then Thomas Martin for Fisher Motorsport Dallara. 20-second gap over Hack Lumps Racing. It looks like that Sapphire SimSport Delta will just about hold on to that third position. There's the lead GTD as well, just in front of them. And so yeah, congratulations to Mad Sim Racing, who after Kinetic had their issue earlier on, basically had a pretty clear run to it then for the rest of the races team. So that's our 3 class winners. There goes Hack Lumps Racing in the LMP2 to take second. Sapphire SimSport do take third. So after that spin at the end, they're relegated from second to third on the last lap, Avery, of a 2-hour 40-minute race. That's got to be heartbreaking, but they've managed to hang on to the podium at least. Yeah, Albrecht ended up in 5th after that last pit stop. Yellow Submarine have taken the checkered flag, so that's fine. Finished in 6th. But yeah, all change there in the closing moments.
Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah, Hack Lumps up the second. I mean, that last lap was pretty crazy. But man, the really good race with this portion at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for that 2-hour and 40-minute race. It's not over until the checkered flag waves. So you got to make sure you do the best you can throughout the whole race. And there's a couple incidents on that white flag, maybe pushing a little bit to the limit, and just happened to have a couple spins. But overall, it's a pretty good race.
Yeah, no, it was a good race. I say really, physically and virtually kind of felt like it was split into 2 with the safety car that we had halfway through the race, and it really did feel like it. Cars that maybe were strong beforehand kind of maybe struggled a little bit more after, and vice versa. So yeah, really did sort of change the face of the race there. But yeah, cracking job all the way through. The first 20 minutes just felt absolutely non-stop battle all the way through the field, and then we had a strategy then still playing out towards the end of the race, and still not knowing who was going to pick up the podium spots in each class. But in the end, here are our final results. So LMDH, first of all, Mayor SimSpeed Performance, taking that win by 15 seconds over Grizzly Motorsport 7 in second. Delta Racing GTP in third, with CMSRacing.com Pro in 4th. So 4th position down, ended up 1 lap down or more. Then JO Motorsports in 5th, who say I'm pretty sure whether the other car in that big contact with Sapphire SimSport Echo near the end there. Yeah, World of Sim Racing team, they were obviously at the head of the field for so long of a race, and then that fairly innocuous kind of damage that unfortunately broke the suspension on the front, it looked like, meaning they ended up in 7th. And then MV SkinLab DS Racing, who had an incident sort of maybe around halfway, I seem to recall, in 8th position. So yeah, unfortunate for them. But yeah, congratulations to the 8 finishers in LMDH. Then LMP2, we have Fisher Motorsports Lara, took the win by 20.7 seconds over Hack Lumps Racing, grabbing that spot off of Sapphire SimSport Delta after their spin on the very final lap. So what, 100, lap 107 for them it was when they lost that spot. So that was our podium with Sapphire. Then GSE Esports finishing in 4th, Albrecht Motorsports in 5th after their last splash and dash. Yellow Submarine Squad in 6th after their late pit stop as well, but they were stationary for much longer, so still not really sure what happened with them there. VRG Sport in 7th with Going Racing in 8th. Delta Sport 198, who really were, looking like the car of the field in the first half of the race, ending up way down in 9th after a numerous incidents. Digital Spirit DS Racing in 10th with Vice Motorsport Black in 11th. Trading Paints Racing Black in 12th. And then the 2 Vision 1 cars, unfortunately, ending up at the back of the field in 13th and 14th, respectively. For GTDs, we'll just do we'll go through all of them, it's fine. GTDs, Mad Sim Racing, taking the win by 13.7 seconds. Grizzly Motorsports 9 in 2nd. So 2 Grizzly Motorsports cars, both in 2nd for the LMDH and GTD classes. DMSRacing.com Endurance then in 3rd with Kinetic Racing in 4th. Again, they should have been right up there battling for the win, really, with Mad Sim Racing. Screeching Moose Motorsports in 5th with Fisher Motorsport Porsche in 6th. Hack Racing in 7th with Dangler Performance in 8th. Moneyhouse Racing Black in 9th. Full Send Racing in 10th. Fisher Motorsports Eagle, Delta Racing GTE, Firestorm Motorsport 29, World of Sim Racing Team, and Torque Freak Racing VSC taking the 10th to 15th positions. Trading Paints Racing Red, Offen S's Racing, Vice Motorsport, Trading Paints Racing Blue, Nerd Herd Racing taking 15th to 20th, and then Real Pixel Motorsport taking up the final spot in GTD in 21st position, 101 laps down from the winning GTD. So of course all those results are going to be provisional because we've still got kind of maybe the odd ongoing protest, and stewards need to check whether penalties are actually served and that sort of stuff. But those are our provisional results that we have here for the virtual sports car challenge. And just before we move on to the interviews, just want to thank Virtual again for partnering with VSCA and for sponsoring this event. We mentioned that they have their esports branding, Virtual Esports, but remember Virtual spelt with a 7, VR7UAL, virtualesports.gg, where you can also check out their simulator rentals. So head to that site for more information, and of course they're going to be continuing to back the season to come as well. So good for Virtual. Thank you very much. Right, we have some drivers for interviews coming up. Avery, I think it makes sense for us to speak to the winner of LMDH first. So we're going to have a word with Kyle Burney to start us off, winner for the Mayor Sim Speed Performance team. Congratulations, Kyle. Give us a little summary of your race. Like how did that go from your perspective, with then of course ending up at the top?
Thanks. It'll be interesting to say this, but it's not exactly what we wanted in terms of the clean race that we had. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that we had, and we're taking it as unofficial right now because I know that we have one incident that we're involved in that could change the overall results depending on which way it goes. So we're waiting on that, but overall, it was a good job, good race. We showed good pace. We were able to stay out of trouble for the most part with a lot of things, which is nice. We were able to stay out of the pits with contact, which I don't think others do in our class, but mostly it was survival for this race. The track was definitely crazy. I'm sure you guys saw way more than we did, but it was just very, very crazy for a driver going around this track.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems it. I mean, I think you guys must have been glad for plenty of runoff space around most of Indy, because we saw so many trips into the grass for numerous cars, especially at turn 7. I mean, on that note, I see that's what your penalty presumably was for the unsafe rejoin a little bit earlier in the race. So you didn't serve your drive-through penalty for that then because you're appealing it. Do you know offhand, Kyle, if your appeal is rejected, since you didn't serve your drive-through penalty, do you know what the time penalty is offhand for that?
I believe post-race is 30 seconds,
Okay.
and that's what we were shooting for. So we knew that if we did get one, we were not going to be able to get second place, but we were just trying to
Be fair.
manage the gap to third, so that way we had that 30 seconds in hand just if needed.
Exactly. Okay, good. Well, like I say, the viewers then can keep an eye on the VSCA social pages and website for the final results when they come up a little bit later on. But as you say, worst case, you guys should still be on the podium then at least. But yeah, fingers crossed for you that yeah, you get to keep you in. It was a great performance, especially in the later stages of the race where yeah, you just had to kind of control your pace, right? And like I say, make sure you got that spot and had the gap that you needed. So yeah, great job. Also for your teammate as well, Kyle. Like yeah, did he? Like, how was his side of the race offhand?
His was good. You know, he's been slowly building up. He's been racing a lot less than I have, just overall for his life. So he's been building up, and he's finally getting the confidence, getting the gap between me and him speed wise different. And you know, he's my brother, so it's good we can help each other out all the time. And he had a really good first stint, so he kept it clean, stayed on the lead lap, didn't drop back a lot, was good with traffic. So overall, his first stint was very good.
Excellent. Well, let's say, and did a great job of setting you guys up then to be in the position you needed to be in at the end. All
Yeah.
right. Well, congratulations again, Carl. Anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you let you go?
Just you guys at Apex Racing. You guys do a great job all the time. Also, vSport for sponsoring for virtual sport for sponsoring the race, sponsoring the series, getting the broadcast page for, as well as all the other competitors. You know, because obviously without them, there would be a league and a series for us to run in, and just for everybody who's participating. So overall, just thank everyone.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Carl. Well, yeah, good luck for the final race of the season as well.
Thanks. I'll talk to you guys later.
Cheers. Okay, so yeah, good to hear from Carl there. So kind of unfortunate for them that they're feeling it's very much provisional at the minute because they have this appeal going through Avery, but as he said, hopefully worst case for them, they'll still be on the podium regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so next up, should we speak to the winning team from LMP2, which is Fisher Motorsport Dallara. So we've got both Thomas Martin, he says that he drags him, and his teammate Rico Kohlmeier, both in together. So yeah, welcome Rico and Thomas. Congratulations on the class win in LMP2. Thomas, did you want to start us off since you were in the car at the end there? Like, do you want to give us a little summary of how you felt your race went?
Oh, that was awesome. We we never give up. We've had a tough season, and yeah, to finally get one is mega. It's absolutely awesome. Car was really good. Rico drove awesome, and yeah, we had a great strategy, so just had to bring it home there at the end.
Yeah, well, let's say after some frantic action kind of earlier on, once you managed to clear the yellow submarine car, yeah, feel like you guys managed to control the pace a little bit after that, Thomas, and felt like it was fairly secure.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We knew the other guys would have to stop again for fuel, so we were a bit unsure whether to actually pass them or not, or just wait, but they were backing off quite a bit, so in the end it made it quite easy, and we were able to just run our own pace to the end.
And Rico, how did you find your opening stint of the race? You managed to survive the kind of the chaos at the start with so many close battles going on.
Yeah, it was intense and sometimes a little bit hectic, but overall, shout out to all the guys out there. I think given the track and that it's difficult to be with 3 wide with 3 classes on there, I think it went pretty well. Try to keep the nose clean as much as I can, and just hang back and see the action happening in front of me. Sometimes it was a little bit too close for being comfort, but yeah, in the end, I kept the nose clean and was able to give Thomas a clean and fast car, so that he could pull that one off.
Excellent. Well, like I say, congratulations again. Like I say, certainly did manage to set Thomas up to be in a position to bring the car home. So yeah, great job from both of you there. Before we let you go, anyone that you wanted to shout out on the interview?
Yeah, definitely. Big shout out to Travis, the third guy on the car normally. he couldn't be there today, unfortunately. Definitively someone we have to thank a lot of in regards to preparation of the race, and of course shout out to Virtual for giving us the opportunity to present ourselves in the stream, to show the outside world what a nice and awesome series this is.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much, guys. Congratulations again on your race win in LMP2.
Thanks.
Thank you, mate.
Okay, so yeah, good to hear from both of them. Avery, I'm kind of not surprised. Rico felt like there was some moments that were a bit too close for his liking in the opening stint. Like I say, it was, frantic was definitely a word that came to my mind.
Oh, absolutely. It was very frantic on the start, but you have to kind of know that going into it, and you don't want to lose as much time as you can. So they did a really good job keeping the car clean, and then biggest thing when you're the first driver, you want to give that second driver a clean car, and that's what Rico did. And Thomas was able to put down some really good laps, and I don't think he was really pushing it. He was just running his time and ran a good pace, and they were able to pull out the win. So a good team effort by them.
Excellent. Right, if I drag the second place finishes in LMP2 in for the Hack Lumps Racing drivers, do you want to have a quick chat to them? So that is going to be Richard Frank and John Starowski. And yeah, I'll leave them with you, Avery.
Yeah, we got.
Thanks for having us, Avery.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, Richard, man? And Jack, congrats on a great run, taking home a good second place in the LMP2 division. And the division was very tight, the whole thing. So we'll go with you, Richard. You were in the car at the end of the race. How'd it go for you towards the end of that race?
Towards the end, I mean, I felt I put in one of the best drives I've ever put in my life. I had a rough start to the race, but thankfully we made a very good strategic decision during full course yellow. And in that last stint, I just tried to stay consistent, put in the best laps I can, and somehow, some way, we just slowly started creeping up that leaderboard. And by the final lap, we're in second place. Absolutely blown away.
Yeah, I think I was definitely saying it on the live timing, how you guys were able to, put down some really good laps towards the end of the race. And, like Lee and I were alluding towards the end of it, like you have to be really good towards the end of the race. And it's a 2 hour and 40-minute race. So the whole race is important, but especially when you're able to click off some good laps at the end, I end up getting a good finish. But such a good run for you guys. Now you're going into a little bit different style race at Road Atlanta. What's your thoughts on that?
Road Atlanta is always a very tricky race. As a team, this is going to be our fourth time racing it as a team. And it's always a challenging but a rewarding and fun race. It's very technical. It requires a lot of strategizing and a lot of patient driving. And thankfully, my team has some of the best work ethic I've ever seen. Everyone on my team is so hardworking and so bright, and I never feel any doubts about them being prepared for a race. So I'm sure we'll come out there for Road Atlanta and put in a really good showing.
That's awesome to hear, Richard. Congrats on second place. We couldn't do it without your partner, Jack. You were able to put out some good times. How was the race for you? As there was, it was quite chaotic throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, my main goal was just to keep it clean and just get through my stint. I was trying to be relatively quick, but also safe. But yeah, that's all it was to it. Richard made the amazing strategy call right around when the full course yellow came out, which I think swung our race in the complete direction. To come back from being third to drop into fifth to drop into 11th and back to second by the end of it. I'm still speechless.
That's the thing when you have those, random full course yellows, you don't know what you're going to do until the end of the race. So congrats to your guys' team. I know we wish you the best of luck, as with everybody as they go on the road to Atlanta. But Jack, who's some people you'd like to thank?
Oh, definitely my family, Richard, the whole team. They're all supportive. Yeah, I'm still speechless. I can't speak clearly.
Hey, that's all good, man. That's what makes some of this, sim racing, it's still the realism of having the the racing is as real as they can get. It's a competition, and you guys proved it. Congrats on your second place finish, and good luck in a couple weeks' time.
Thank you, Avery. And if I could take a moment just to give a couple thanks myself. I'd like to give thanks to Virtual vSPORTS for sponsoring this race. Without their help, you know, I should say with their help, it really helps keep this league going and keeps it strong. So big thanks to them for sponsoring this race. I'd like to give thanks to my girlfriend, Catherine, for always being so supportive with my race prep schedule. And of course, to my amazing teammates, you guys always floor me with your work ethic, with your smarts, and I believe what we can achieve is limitless. So thank you to all you guys as well. And to VSCA, of course, for the league for putting this all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a great job by everybody, and we thank all your people that support you too. So congrats on a great time. Good luck next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Okay, so yeah, good to speak to both of them taking the second position there, in LMP2. So yeah, good to hear their thoughts. Let's have a quick chat with a GTD driver next. So we're going to have Zach Kruger, who finished second in GTD for Grizzly Motorsports number 9 with his teammate David Baker bringing it home at the end. Congratulations on the podium finish, Zach. Do you want to give us a little summary of how you found your opening portion of the race?
Yeah, it was chaotic to say the very least. You know, started the race out in I think 13th, and I've never been the better qualifying driver, but I always qualify relatively because of time constraints, and thankfully was able to stay out of the chaos for, the first, I think, 2 or 3 laps, but then just got caught up in some stupid incidents of guys, spinning or lap traffic getting potentially in the way, and it just was a little rough. I think when I handed off the car to Baker and we were making a bunch of strategy calls during that yellow, and I think I handed him the car in like 13th or something, and I mean he's unreal. He clawed everything back left, right, and center. I mean, he's making moves that I'm looking at and I'm just like, are you sure you wanted, okay, that's another position, and just going back and forth like that. And he did a fantastic job and getting, if I'm not mistaken, our second podium of the season. I think we had one back at Laguna this earlier in the year. Very happy with how today went.
Excellent, and so you guys should be, like I say, to get on the podium here, race 10 at Indianapolis. Yeah, absolutely great result. So good to hear. I mean, we're off to Road Atlanta for the final round of the season. Like, how are you feeling about that? Is that a circuit you kind of prefer over Indianapolis, or is this the sort of one you prefer? Like, how are you set on that?
I'm not really sure. I'm from Wisconsin, so Road America is kind of my track. So Road America is the track that I kind of prefer the most, and I think I kind of see both Indy and Atlanta in a Road America track. So I've always been good at Road Atlanta, whatever car it is. I know Baker is extremely fast there, and I know our third guy that we're bringing in they've already been working on the setup for like a week now, and we're still 2-3 weeks from Road Atlanta. So we're gonna hopefully we'll be fast, and yeah, kind of just looking forward to round out the season. It's been kind of an up and down season for us this year, finishing some really good races, some really bad races. So yeah, we're gonna see where we can go from there. And obviously just gotta thank everybody at Grizzly Motorsports. I know Josh is down there. He does a great job at working with us, letting us all run under the Grizzly name, and of course the sponsors: Envision El Salvador, Majors Garage, TFRL Lab, Reader Transportation, JRT, Garage 61, Trek Cams, and Speed Seat. Fantastic people supporting us, being able to let us run in these series that we want to. And yeah, hopefully Road Atlanta can be another good run of form. I know final round of the season we got to come out swinging, and I think we're definitely going to.
Excellent. Well, good luck to you in that final round. Like I say, certainly hopefully giving yourself a bit of momentum with that podium finish today. So yeah, thanks for your thoughts, Zach, and yeah, good luck in that final round.
Thank you guys, and thank you guys for having the broadcast today.
No problem. Bye-bye. And then, yeah, just to finish up our interviews for today, then we'll have a quick word also with second position finisher in LMDH, which is going to be Joshua Wolf for another Grizzly Motorsports team, Grizzly Motorsports number 7. And so, yeah, Joshua, congratulations on that podium finish there at the end. You kind of made some progress since the safety car halfway through the race to get into that podium spot. Yeah, talk us through it.
Yep. I think the biggest thing was that restart, understanding how the rules work, and through that I was able to get a couple spots there right on the restart. But it was a good run. Better than the last couple rounds in these sprint rounds. We've had decent finishes going, and unfortunate luck with some of the slower classes taking us out of contention. So having that kind of turnaround, we're kind of, both the 3 and us are both watching to see what's going to happen with that unsafe rejoin, whether it's going to be a penalty or not. We'll see what happens up there in race control.
Yes, of course. So so potentially we've got a race win on our hands, as was pointed out to us by Carl Burney as we chatted to him a minute ago. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. Like, have you guys got any sense of, like, I don't know, as a team, have you had a bit of a look at that incident yourself and got an idea as to what you're kind of expecting, or just waiting and seeing what the stewards say?
I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm sure that Trevor is currently figuring out exactly what's going to happen from his end, because that's just what he does. But it's we'll see what happens. Either way, I think it's still going to be a tight race going into Road Atlanta for the overall championship between the 3 and the 79. Definitely want to go in there as many points as we can. So if some of this bad luck stays up, that we have enough points in hand. But it's been a great season. Looking forward to last race and see if we can finish off with a great result there.
Awesome. And then just before I let you go, you correctly reminded us that there's a slightly chaotic restart on the safety car. So can you summarize for the viewers, like what's the rule there? So I feel like there was a start zone, and the leader obviously kind of thought perhaps they were under control and they didn't have to react to a start zone.
Yep. So the rule here at VSCA under a full course yellow, not an emergency, is the final corner, or second to last corner in this case. The final acceleration point is where we're supposed to go. And I don't know if the 39 had some confusion because there was a late race decision, because 14 is flat out anyways. It's really 13 is there. And knowing that rule, I've kind of had it bite me a couple different tracks, specifically looking back to Watkins Glen early in the year. I was just prepped for it. I knew there was a really good chance the 39 was going to screw it up, and they did, and I just took advantage because I was at my race restart point when I went. So that's the rule here at VSCA, is the final acceleration point on the track is the restart zone.
Perfect. Well, thank you for clarifying that for us, and well done being on top of it, so you could take advantage. And we'll see what that protest reveals as to whether you take that finishing spot. So good luck, and good luck out there for Road Atlanta for the next round.
Thank you, guys. I just want to thank vSPORTS as well for sponsoring this race and Pole Awards for this year, and also all my teammates there. Trevor did a great job opening this stint and getting some help from teammates with setup. And also some of our other sponsors, Majors Garage, Envision, Garage 61, use all that stuff weekly, and great products out there. So thank you.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Josh. Bye-bye. Okay, so good to hear those thoughts from the drivers, Avery. Good little nuggets of information for us to clarify to viewers as well. So we know there's a protest pending for the number 3, so we'll wait and see what happens there. And we now have a better idea as to why Sapphire SimSport Echo got a little bit muddled on that safety car restart.
Yeah, I mean, it's always you always gotta be aware of what the rules are, and like you said, pending the whatever the race control decides for who's gonna be the overall winner. But at the end of the day, whether it's Mayor SimSpeed or Grizzly Motorsports 7, they all two of those cars, well, all 3 of them, the Delta Racing and finished third, all 3 of those cars showed pace, and that's always one thing to keep in mind, because it is a 20-point differential between first and second. But at the end of the day, as long as you showed pace, you should be pretty good for the next one.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned sort of during those interviews, so if you want to keep track of what that finals decisions are on those pending protests, and there's a couple of others dotted around as well, then yeah, check out the VSCA social pages and or their website, and I'm sure it will get updated in there as soon as those decisions have been made as a final. So that brings us to the end of our coverage of the VSCA Sports Car Championship and the vSPORTS Sports Car Challenge round 10 of this season. As we said, they're off to Road Atlanta in a few weeks to finish off the season. So yeah, definitely worth keeping an eye on how the guys get on there and what those final championship results end up being. So yeah, just a quick thank you again to Virtual again for helping provide the broadcast. Yeah, you can check out their main website at Virtual, but remember it's vr7ual.ca for their overall website, and then Virtual, same spelling, vr7ual esports.gg for their kind of esports website, where you can find out more about their MX5 Cup and GT3 series running each week and their simulator rentals as well. So thank you everybody for watching. We were pleased to see some great racing out there. Commiserations to the losers and congratulations to the winners. And yeah, we shall see you all for the next one. Thank you very much to Avery and to Samuli running the cameras on the broadcast. And we shall all see you next time.